the madhouse.
Cheers to episode 40.
To the 4-0.
To the
Cheers, the big 4-0.
The big 4-0.
Water.
Coffee.
Coffee. I'm drinking water.
Coffee at 8 o'clock, man. You're going to be up late.
I just do it for my squad. I do it for the listeners. I want to give you some energy out the gates. I want this show to be spicy. Today, tonight, Sunday, October 3rd, spooky season. Ooh. Give me your best. Ooh.
Ooh.
Evan.
Ooh.
Yeah. 8:09 p.m. and
It's 2021.
2021, and Urban Meyer has taken a page out of Lane Kiffin's playbook.
I did not expect the show to start with that.
No.
Yeah. Good for him, man. Getting out on the town.
Yeah, feels
Tough
good.
Thursday loss.
I've been a lifelong Urban Meyer's a scumbag guy. And, you know, sometimes it feels good to get reminded that he is.
What did he do wrong, man? He just had a bar.
Well, when his team's 0-4 and his wife was at home watching the kids. So
His kids are old.
she tweeted out, like, I'm at home while Urban's out.
She
It's
like
pretty awkward.
to it? Oh, wow.
She quote tweeted a picture of him with like two other guys at the bar. And then the pictures came out and video came out
I
later.
saw the video. One of the videos, at least.
And then there was several pictures he took with fine co-ed ladies, I think, in Columbus. So yeah, I didn't plan to start there because there's a lot of other things to talk about. But sometimes you just gotta kick someone from Ohio State when they're down.
All right, then.
Besides that, and maybe you guys had as an eventful weekend as Urban Meyer did. I would love for a story like that to come out from one of your guys' mouths here in the recap of how was your week. But would either of you like to start with how your week/weekend was since we last recorded?
I can go first.
Okay, you should
It's
go
not
first.
super
then.
exciting.
No,
Week
don't say that.
was standard, and then Friday didn't do much. Went to the local towny bar with a friend of the program, Drew, and then Saturday I watched the Michigan game, and then went to a wedding. I was plus once. I didn't know anybody at the wedding at all. So you'd think it'd probably suck a lot, but it wasn't too bad. Everyone was really nice, you know, free booze, open bar, food was good. I think Evan, you'd appreciate it. They had it was a buffet, but it was like barbecue, so they had brisket,
Oh,
you know, a lot of your like barbecue favorites. So food was phenomenal.
keep talking.
Had an ice cream bar, which was pretty sweet. I'm sure you would have liked that as well.
Can we slow down?
Yeah.
Can we slow down on the barbecue part real quick?
You want me to like talk about it?
Coleslaw.
You know, they didn't have coleslaw, but
Yeah, let's redeem ourselves here.
do you want me to just talk about it? Brisket, pulled chicken, multiple sauces, mashed potatoes, corn, something else, bread, muffins or something. I don't know. But yeah, you know, it was a good spread. It's good stuff.
Was the groom wearing jeans?
Yeah, they so the groom and the groom's men wore dress shirt, vest, and then jeans. It's quite the fit.
I don't know how I feel about it. I saw a video and it's a power move.
It's different.
It's a power move.
I wasn't expecting it.
It's comfortability.
Made me feel overdressed.
Wrangler wedding jeans.
Yeah, the bride and the bridesmaids, they wore standard.
So the question that all of our sports fans, did you stream the Michigan State game during said wedding?
Not really. A couple times. I'd pull it up just to see if we're on offense or on defense, watch a couple plays and put it down.
So does your opinion matter on this week's game?
I watched most of it back. So, I mean, it was 21-3. At that point, I didn't feel like I needed to be invested into every play.
Must be nice.
And I didn't want to get yelled at by my date for just watching football the whole time, which was fair.
A business decision.
Yeah, correct.
Let's see, we can review. Boston, tough nail biter in flag football again. We're 0-2. I don't know what it's like to have a losing record in flag football.
Relinquish the QB duties.
Conversations need to be had. You gave up a couple tough plays when it can't happen, and that's why you lose the game.
Well, and Evan, the elephant in the room. then you can, you can be a good team player if some of the people do listen to this show. But it sounds like to save team chemistry, you're not the QB anymore.
Which is surprising.
Most of the people, I don't know most of the people. They're like friends of friends that get invited on. And, one kid, I guess, played quarterback in high school and he was good. And I'm not fighting anybody to play quarterback for flag football, and I am. So if you wanted to do it, I say go ahead, and you wanted to do it.
That's a good rule. It's a good rule to live by, like don't fight anyone to play quarterback in IM football.
How did he do that?
He did well.
Blink twice if you're lying.
I'm not going to blink twice because it's not his fault. There's some people on our team that physically just can't catch. So
sounds like they should be fired.
I just can't.
Let's see, rest of the week. Yeah, so redemption game Tuesday, 7:00, Field 2. Be there, be loud, get ready.
Pack the woodshed.
Yeah, at the woodshed. Keep chopping, baby. It's about the next game. Let's see. Went to the movies Thursday and Friday, back-to-back days. Saw the same exact movie.
Review? Because I've heard mixed reviews on it.
Wait, what do you see?
Venom 2.
I saw Venom.
Oh.
Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage.
No spoilers, though, please.
That one.
Spoil it.
No spoilers. Overall, I enjoyed the movie. Would like there to be more action. Would like the movie to be longer. You could always nitpick, but...
was there too much comedy?
Venom, the character... there was comedy in the first one, so if you didn't think there wasn't going to be more comedy, then I think you're missing the point.
Okay.
You have to stay for the ending. Rookies, they get up and leave before the end credit scene, and the end credit scene is mind blowing. So you have to stay and watch that. And I saw 15, 20 people leave as soon as the movie got over with.
I'm not one of those guys.
That makes me think the way you frame that is you said you went back-to-back days in the same movie. On Friday night, were you yelling at people to stay?
I did not. I did not voice up. I just saw those people, and I turned to Cody and Hunter, and I said, "Look at these idiots leaving."
I like picturing Evan standing up in the alternate universe, but no, guys, the best part's coming. I saw it last night.
So you saw it in East Lansing with
East Lansing with Luke and Cam, and then Cody invited me, and I didn't want to feel left out on Friday night back in the hometown, so I said yes to the movies.
And as we discussed, MJR, the chairs basically massage your butts.
Didn't go there.
Oh.
We went to Imagine. Yep, Imagine's better. Popcorn's better. Customer service is better. It's probably the only reason why we went there. Just enjoy the drive a little bit. Enjoy the company that you're going with.
More time to talk about the movie afterwards.
Yep. Yep. Saturday, watch college football as much as possible. And then I had a wedding in the afternoon.
Congrats on getting married.
Yeah, congrats. Wedding was fun. Tried to stay up to date, but
it was super dumb.
I did not get married, Grant. I went to a wedding.
I know that was a bad joke. I realized, but
really stupid.
That's it's like telling jokes is like hitting the major leagues. You go 3 for 10. That's still Hall of Fame.
I'll never have to worry about my own wedding. So chop me,
Evan. Jeez, come on. So dark, on a football Sunday.
Oh, there is a funny story from the wedding actually. So, which the friend of the show, Drew, he was there. We were the life of the party. We owned the dance floor, and that's 100% fact. There's some pictures floating out there in the family groups that if you get your hands on, you're going to want to save it for the rest of your life.
Really?
I saw one this morning. I was like, yikes.
Maybe just send it to us so we can see it.
I looked good in it.
I think you should send it to us right now for a live reaction.
I can't even picture what this is.
I don't have it. I don't have the picture.
Who does?
Dina and my mom do.
I knew it was Dina. She had to have it.
At a wedding, you always look for the single females there, and there was a couple of cute ones. And I don't have I'm too much of a chicken to go up and talk to anybody in a public setting, especially when your parents are there cheering you on to do it. I'm like, no,
that's tough. That is tough.
And so she was never on the dance floor ever, and she would sit at her table and socialize with looked like her family. And then there was this old country western song that came on. And I'm like...
What was it?
I walked off the dance floor to get a drink or whatever. She comes running onto the dance floor and starts dancing with someone. You know who she started dancing with?
Drew.
Nope. My dad.
Really?
Yep. And so the girl that I had ads on the entire night, she danced with one guy there, and it was my dad.
Wow. You're never living that down.
Yeah.
That sounds like an American Pie movie plot. Like, what are the chances?
That is funny.
Yeah, so it was kind of embarrassing. I was just like, you know what? I lost. And I was screaming at him afterwards, probably a little too drunk, just screaming at him, saying, brag about it, Dad. But other than that, that was my weekend. Woke up super hungover this morning, so we're here though.
Just had to clear it up.
Evan goes up to her, like taps on her shoulder, like, hey, same genetics, so you had the old bull, now you want the young calf.
Yeah, debatably another terrible joke.
No, that's pretty good. Everyone knows that movie. Hangover means it was a good wedding. That's it. Did you have a hangover this morning, Alex?
Slightly, not too bad.
Nice. My weekend consisted of taking on the behemoth that is East Lansing, Michigan.
Without us, shocking. Evan and I are there almost every week.
Probably the first time I've ever gone to East Lansing without either of you being there. I feel comfortable saying that.
I don't think you would ever have a reason to.
And let me just tell you, like, I know for people that are listening, they're going to be like, Grant, didn't you understand what they were describing last time? But like, it's one of those things where you have to see it in person. What you guys talked about, the night scene there and the lines and everything, it is a zoo. I don't know what street is that called? Like the one right off of Grand River that Dublin and Fieldhouse and all them are on. Abbott. So that road, like, you just pull in there and it's just a sea of humanity, like 20,000 plus people. It feels like it's definitely not that many people, but it feels like that many people. And as you guys kind of describe the different bars, like, you really visualize the line wrapping around in the parking garage for Rick's. And you also look at the line of Rick's and it's just all 16-year-olds. And you can just easily tell, like, these kids are way too young. And then obviously Harper's is to the moon. So that was Friday night.
Where'd you end up going in?
Ended up getting into Fieldhouse. Probably had to wait like 15 minutes.
It's probably the smallest line if I had to guess.
Yeah, there was one bouncer that came up trying to be all cool. Like, you guys can cut this whole line $20 a person. And it's like, okay, buddy. Like, no chance anyone's doing that. Briefly, though, some storytelling from waiting in Fieldhouse line. Also on Abbott now, a new thing that's a trend I'm on top of that's growing is people love to rev their engines a lot on that road now because there's so many people to try to like show off their car. And in one case, some guy was on a crotch rocket, which I said that phrase to some people this weekend and they didn't really know what it was. And I was like, that's a pretty common, just a small little bike that goes pretty fast and you can make it rev, and it's because it's a rocket right on your crotch and you're just flying. So he does that. He revs. And we see him go down the street, towards Dublin. And then I guess, fast forward like 2 minutes later, the guy is getting beat up in the Pinball Pete alley by like 3 dudes.
The guy on the crotch rocket.
The guy on the crotch rocket. And what I was told from the security guards at Fieldhouse, who they said saw it, he apparently, this is all speculation, like almost hit a group of people or something. And then maybe like circled back and the guys like just grabbed him off of his bike and started beating him up. And I kid you not, the guy on the crotch rocket was tiny. You kind of have to be to ride one of those things. And the guy beating him up was like 6'5", like built, and was holding. It was such an embarrassing scene for the guy. It? Yeah, on the bike. The guy is holding like the crotch rocket driver's bike helmet in his left hand and just wailing on him with his right. And like controlling his shirt, and then they get pushed up against a car, and then these old mom and dad come out of Jolly Pumpkin, and this like dad in this Michigan State Q-Zip like walks up like, hey, what's going on? And then he just like, nah, never mind, walks away. And the craziest thing is like,
how'd this end?
250 people are just watching this and doing nothing about it. Like,
this kid seems like he was
just right in that alley of Pinball Pete's, like on the road. And I swear there were security guards standing there like 20 minutes ago, and they just were nowhere to be found. Nobody from security at Fieldhouse or Jolly Pumpkin or Barrio was doing anything about it. Just let it happen. And then basically they just like told the guy with the bike to get lost, and they just stole his bike. So that guy just got his crotch rocket stolen right on Abbott in front of 300 people.
And no one did anything.
No one did a thing.
I mean, I get that the kid probably on the crotch rocket deserved to get his ass beat.
Well, that's all speculation. We don't know if he tried.
I don't really know. Yeah. I'm just assuming if that escalated to steal his bike on top of it while everyone's just standing there watching.
And like the people that are up top in Fieldhouse at the patio are just like egging it on, like, yeah, fight. And everyone's like, oh my gosh.
Dear God.
Yeah, so that happens.
That's terrible.
Finally get into Fieldhouse, and I'm just going to say this for whoever works there, whoever owns that bar. Just turn the decibels down like 2 clicks, That bar, that field house in East Lansing, plays music way too loud. The music they choose is fine, although they played a couple TikTok songs. They played, what was it? They played one like really cringy TikTok song, and I was like, wow. Like, it's when I felt like I was too old to be in a bar. I was like, this, like in that bar, I was like, this is ridiculous. Hold on to your seats for this one. So I think I saw two people fall in love at Fieldhouse on Friday night in East Lansing. You know, some people say love at first sight doesn't exist. I would argue after what I witnessed, it does, or at least like lust at first sight does. So this couple just starts making out. I mean, aggressively making out, tongue down throats in like a big circle of people. In our group that were there, just couldn't even think about dancing or mind our own business. You're just full turning your shoulders and staring at these people doing this for probably about like 3 songs went by. And I kid you not,
that's like 9 minutes of sucking face.
They were all like Spanish songs, so like the tension was high because, you know, Spanish songs always bring the heat. And there was over the shirt rubbing going on from a male to female perspective. And then, guys, this was the showstopper. I may have been one of the few people that actually saw it, and I just screamed and like told everyone I was standing with. I turned and I saw the gentleman's fingers in the lovely lady's throat, and I almost like gasped, like fingers in the mouth in the middle of Fieldhouse.
Oh my! That has to be cut. I think that's X-rated.
Oh, I described it pretty G. Like, gentleman's fingers.
Stuff's rated PG-13. All this stuff's rated.
Oh my god!
Gentleman's fingers and lovely lady's
in public,
mouth
in the bar.
And then crazy enough is I don't know if they just kind of got all their attention out because she left like 2 songs later, and I don't think they rekindled anything the rest of the night. I think maybe that was just it. It was just a firework in the moment, and it was gone. But yes, that 1,000% happened.
If I saw someone just
watched it happen.
Yeah, no, that's weird. What a weird story.
That's pretty much it. I'll save the Saturday parts of it for the game because that involves the Michigan State Western Kentucky game that I end up going to. But other than that, I guess bar comparative to really hammer home my point of Fieldhouse, I went to Lou and Harry's before kickoff of the Michigan State game. Lou and Harold's.
Dude, no one calls
Lewis's, and I went to Lewis's and Harold's.
It's Lou Haas.
Lewis's and Harold's. And the atmosphere there was much better. They didn't play music too loud. I guess world-renowned
DJ Black Magic was back in town. I saw it.
Was in attendance. I think he's quite the ladies' man from what I gathered. And he was just playing the hits at a reasonable volume, unlike Fieldhouse. So shout out to Lewis's and Harold's for that.
Stop calling. That's not even accurate.
It's pretty much the weekend. What do you guys say we dive into some NFL football that
Lions
we watched today? This is for the context before we start. This is one of those ones where I saw like 3 snaps of this game and some little Twitter reactions. So it's going to be one of basically explain the Lions game to Grant, which I will entrust to you guys. A game,
you go ahead.
A game that I called a must win going into the week.
By you only.
Which I laughed at. So, start the game. We have the ball first, 7. Honestly, that might be.
No, we did not get the ball first because they went right down the field in 75 yards.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So, David Montgomery ran all over us in the first drive. They threw it all over us. Justin Fields, of course, we made a rookie quarterback look sweet.
Sweet grab by Darnell Mooney, it looks like.
Really good catch. I think that was on the first drive.
Mm-hmm.
Diving grab.
It was.
Nice. And then they scored 7-0, and you're like, oh, well, defense hasn't improved. Then our offense, the story of the day, I would say, was we moved the ball well, pretty consistently, got in the red zone. I can think of 3 times we were in the red zone where we got 0 points. 0 points. Not a field goal, not a touchdown, 0 points.
I feel like that's surprising just because from the other games we were watching, they would show that graphic where the Lions had like one of the best red zone offenses thus far in the league going like probably into this game.
Yeah. So I'd say the story of the game was right there. Lions' inability to score in the red zone any points was my biggest takeaway. Jared Goff's baby hands flashed again.
I did see that play.
Yeah.
Was that stripped out though, or was that just a drop?
I think he just dropped it. Couldn't really tell.
That'd be depressing if it was just a drop.
It's somewhere in between. I mean, you got pressure in his face, and all of a sudden the ball's out.
Justin Fields, credit to him, he did make some good throws, even with good coverage. I thought he played pretty decent. Bears running game pretty much did what it wanted. The defense was just not very good the whole game. It wasn't terrible, but they gave up a lot of yards, and the Bears probably should have scored more if their coach wasn't incompetent. That's a different conversation.
Oh, I just saw the first red zone interception.
Oh, yeah. Didn't even talk about the snap where Goff is walking up. I think that was the first drive, wasn't it?
That was the first
Walks
drive.
up.
Because the play right before that, we get a ball batted at the line, and there's a potential interception. Matt Nagy somehow throws a challenge flag when the review clearly shows like the ball hitting the ground.
Yeah.
So they lose their challenge flag, and as soon as we get back from the review, that play happens.
Yeah. It looks like it was just
walking
loud
up,
in there.
Walking up to center, and
Ragnow thought he wanted him to snap it. Bounces off his chest perfectly, and pretty athletic catch by the D lineman. Just throws his hands up, catches it. And after that, I was pretty much like, yeah, this game's not going to go well.
And the insult to injury on that play is like Jared Goff walking up is considered a legal motion. So
we got a penalty on that.
It's a decline penalty on top of like looking like a clown show.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't good. And then he fumbled. And then I think we went for it on fourth down in the red zone, Evan. Didn't get it.
Yeah, we went for it. Yeah, in the second quarter, we went for it, and it got deflected. And
then I guess the thing a lot of people were talking about was at the end of the game, we were down 24-14. We were on the Bears' 10-yard line, so we were going to score. It was 4th and 1. We didn't get it on 3rd and 2 or whatever. So they went no huddle, try to get it quickly. Goff threw a pass to the sideline, falling away. Wasn't a great throw. Wasn't a great route either, and dropped it. Instead of just kicking the field goal and getting within 7 with a chance, they went for it.
How much time was left?
3 or 4 minutes probably.
Yeah.
And so you had a chance to get it to a 7-point game. Your defense was doing better at that point. But they went for it on 4th and 1, didn't get it, and then that was the game.
I guess we'll start there then of analysis. What do you guys think about that decision to go for it?
I don't mind it. I get why some people were saying, you should just kick the field goal so you're down by 1 possession. But if you look at Dan Campbell, he's done every single time on 4th down the entire year. Like he's going for it at midfield. Even in our end, he's going for it on 4th down and short. So I don't see why he would just change now just because of the situations and the circumstances.
I was going to say,
there's pictures going around on Twitter right now that Goff should have hit Cephas over the middle. And it's like cropped perfectly where you don't know if there's a defensive player near Cephas over the middle, but the picture that's floating around on Twitter that you might eventually see, Cephas is wide open.
St. Brown was honestly open. It just wasn't a great throw. It was St. Brown, I think. It's a little out route to the sideline. It's a hard throw because it's to the others. He was rolling left and throwing left, so it's not super easy. He's falling away. But, yeah, based on everything we've seen from Dan Campbell, I wasn't surprised at all that we went for it. I think we went for it 3 times again in this game on 4th down.
Wow.
I think we're over 3.
I don't hate it. Well, I hate that they're over 3. I hate
the play call because you have 2 players on your team that are superior than everybody else. You got to find a way to get Swift or Hockenson the ball. That's one of the gripes I would say on offense is it's another 3 quarters where you couldn't get Hockenson the ball. You couldn't develop plays or scheme-wise to get Hockenson open.
Same with
he
Swift.
Was basically useless until the 4th quarter when you kind of put pressure on the Bears, but I don't know if the Bears were playing as aggressive.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're doing when Swift and Hockenson are clearly your best playmakers, pretty much your only playmakers on offense, and they don't seem to want to get them involved until it's the 4th quarter and we're down double digits. You don't see either of them touching the ball until second half. And that was another story. I thought the Lions abandoned the run way too fast, too. Because Jamal
Williams did run pretty well.
He was having
pretty hard. We gashed him a little bit, kind of like little stretch zone plays, and then it would be a little cutback off center or guard, and you probably averaging 6 or 7 yards per carry on those plays. Then everything else was kind of blunders.
Goff wasn't very sharp. Got batted down at the line a lot. Missed some easy throws. We had some drops.
Could we say on the positive side, at least from what I've seen so far through these highlights, is Goff he looks so uncomfortable doing it, but he does have the ability to extend some plays.
He had a really good play.
He made a nice rolling left throw across I guess, to Cephas.
The pocket play. He had made a really nice play in the pocket, scrambled, extended the play, got a first down, and then I think the next play or 2 plays later, he fumbled.
Yeah.
That's Jared Goff. He's just super inconsistent.
I'm going to chalk the fumble up to being tipped out. They didn't give a replay, but it did look like someone got their arm on it. But yeah, like you guys said, like he has the flashes to do something, to do things. He had another one where he stepped up with 2 hands on the ball and made a nice throw to Amon St. Brown to pick up a first down. But like you guys said, like you can't.
He has talent.
The floor's too low, I guess.
Because when he's bad, he can be terrible. And that's But when he's good, he's pretty solid and probably above like average NFL quarterback. But he's not nearly consistent enough to be garnered that attention.
Now that we're in this is the third game, fourth game, fourth game. So it's 1/4 of the season, 25% of the season. I don't know if this offense fits Goff.
I don't think it does.
I still don't think it does, and I don't think the Rams offense fits him. You saw him succeed as best when he's a shotgun passer. He reads the defense prior, not under center. Give him a couple more half seconds to adjust, and he is the arm thrower. He is used to throwing the ball 40 to 50 times every single game.
Yeah.
So you're theorizing then, which is kind of, well, no, it doesn't rule that out, but I guess I got to be specific about the point I'm trying to make or articulate is that I always feel like the narrative around Goff is that he's good if you can establish your run and then do like under center rollout play action passes, when it seems like that may not be what you think is best. Like you can still incorporate play action, but just one more of like a spread style offense with him in the shotgun.
Yeah.
Because with the bootlegs and all that stuff, like the play actions or bootlegs, I don't think he's athletic enough for the boot plays. He just looks like, to me, my eye test, he doesn't look comfortable in the boot plays. He doesn't look comfortable in the offense. That's just me. And I could be completely wrong. I mean, I'm sure he says he loves the offense. He loves Anthony Lynch, but he doesn't look comfortable in it. He doesn't look like a quarterback that is comfortable running the certain plays that they're asking him to do. And honestly, as under center handoffs.
It might just be because not paying attention. Is like there's some highlights here I'm watching in the third quarter where we're going empty sets with 5 wide and he's making good reads and getting the ball out on 5-yard outs quickly. Now, yes, that's boring. And I got to watch the whole Steelers Green Bay game, and it's very clear when you have a quarterback who can't throw more than 10 yards downfield that you're going to struggle. But I think you just have to get more creative and get your play action plays off of the shotgun system, like still spread out, do spread play action plays. You don't have to do everything like, under center rollouts with him because it just takes too long to develop.
Yeah.
And then Cal, Cal was as spread out as it got and he thrived there. I know it's college, but still.
Yeah, through 4 games, there was hope that maybe Jared Goff would be your quarterback for a while. No, he's not the guy.
So you're on I guess, just a full 2 years potentially? You think maybe even not even full 2 years? You don't have to speculate. That's a ridiculous question, I would say, after 4 games, now that I say it out loud.
Yeah, but it depends what they do in the draft, which is a long time away. So I don't know.
To briefly about the 4th and 1, now again, keep in mind that I didn't really get the whole game flow, but the counter argument to all the people that think that Dan Campbell's dumb for doing that, the clear counter argument is that based on what you've seen from your offense, this is probably going to be their best chance to be down in this range to score a touchdown again. Whereas, if you take the field goal, based on what you've seen from your offense, you probably didn't feel comfy even getting within touchdown striking range. So that's why people are like, well, if this is the closest you're going to get to their goal line in the game, then you might as well try to go for the touchdown now. That way you can just hopefully fall into 1 or 2 plays like the Ravens did against us the week before, where you can get a game-time field goal.
Yeah, then the play they ran, it worked. Just didn't execute.
Yeah, and it's like, I guess my thought would be like, if you can't score, a touchdown from the 10 or whatever it was around there,
probably not going to win anyway.
Then you trust yourself to be able to go down the field potentially in like a minute or less, and get down there.
The thing is, they were moving the ball, I think, most of the day. It's just they weren't capitalizing. Just had one dumb mistake every drive. Penalties were not great again.
I see this too. What was your guys' thoughts when you were watching play? It seems like, I wouldn't say it mainly luck, but there is, obviously bounces of the ball. Like on the strip sack of Goff, the player who recovered it for the Bears fumbled and it just landed right in another player's arms. and they could keep running. Like, that was unfortunate. And then you see here at the start of the fourth quarter, a sack fumble on Fields, and the ball just bounces around like 10 yards, and they are able to fall on it. But if somehow that bounces the line's way, then
Are you talking about the one Khalil Mack recovered?
I'm doing two. So
the one before that. You're talking the one where Goff.
where you said baby hands.
Yeah.
The player who recovered that fumbled on our offensive lineman's hit, and then it fell into number 8's lap of the Bears, who was still running. So it could have been one of those things where, like, if Khalil Mack fumbles that, and then we fall on, then it's a new set of downs, 1st and 10 going our way.
I thought you were talking about the one where Khalil Mack clearly pitches it to Eddie Jackson.
You think that was a pitch?
It was.
Well, now I got to see.
Khalil Mack tried to pitch that to Eddie Jackson.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that was
100%.
They got a penalty for a full
Khalil Mack
pass.
tried to get them to score.
Yeah. That's why I was confused what you're talking about, because that was a designed flip. He looks at him and then throws it.
Yeah, he pitches it. Oh, he does.
On purpose, yeah. They talked about it. He looks at him, gives him a little flick.
Okay, well, I take that back.
Forward pass on that anyway, so
Really?
Yeah, went back.
Good call by the refs, I guess. That's not bad luck. But then the Justin
The
Fields.
Justin Fields one
sack
was
fumble.
crazy.
'Cause
Great recovery by Justin
You
Fields.
fall on that ball, then you have the short field with your struggling offense to go and make it 24-21. But that's just kind of what happens. Also, I'm noticing, aside from the X's and O's, Soldier Field just looks so disgusting to play on. I can't wait for them to get a new stadium.
I think it's been beat up. And I mean, it's still grass, and it's in October with all the rain recently in the Midwest. Not very good.
God, there's just so many sack fumble balls on the turf. They even got lucky on this one I'm watching where it fumbled again, and Jared Goff picked it up and ran for positive yards on the play. But it's like that ball is just coming out of his hand way too often, it feels like.
Baby hands. Also, on defense, I think we struggled to get any pressure on Fields to make him uncomfortable at all.
Which is disgusting. And one of the keys I told Lions fans to watch for is if the front can't get pressure against this Bears' porous offensive line, then that's going to be a red
Also,
flag.
Romeo Quara, I believe he ruptured his Achilles or something.
Yeah, he tore his Achilles. It hasn't been said yet, but they said it's an Achilles injury, and it's not looking good.
So he was out most of the game.
So that's really bad.
Although Ragnow didn't look that good, he had the turnover or whatever you want to call it. He left in the second or first quarter.
Did not return.
And did not return. He was out for a couple of weeks probably.
So it's actually insult to injury because those are arguably
they're both they're all in our top 5.
Best offensive player and best defensive player.
Yeah. And Trey Flowers, I don't believe he played either. So
he did not play.
D-line was
but who cares? Trey Flowers doesn't look good anyway, so I don't care.
And he's probably better than what we had.
My other big gripe with this team, not gripe, but things I really want to see and that I think they need to do. If you had to estimate based on your eyeballs, what was the percentage of snap counts for DeAndre Swift?
I think he played a lot more this week. It started with a Jamal early and often.
Yeah, but Jamal was running the ball well, where Jamal was probably getting almost too many carries in the first half.
Yeah. I thought Swift in the second half played a majority, at least based on what I saw. It felt like he was in there almost like
second half, probably.
I would like to see Swift more in the first half. Jamal Williams started.
It's just like, to me, obviously, Jamal Williams is a decent back, but like for early fresh, the freshest to start of the game. Like Jamal Williams is getting too many like early handoffs, like where I want Swift to get those handoffs to see how he's feeling right away. I don't get that logic. I'm fine with like Jamal getting 5 to 8 handoffs a game, but when you're talking like the freshest somebody's going to be Swift earlier in the game, like I don't get that. And if you're trying to limit his snaps, I don't agree with it being early in the game. Like somewhere in the middle where it's
second and
go
third.
Both ways.
Give him some drives off.
I'll go even as far as like just give me just touches, in general, which is I'm sure you guys would agree. Like use them like the Steelers have to use Najee Harris because their quarterback can't throw downfield. Like just put the ball in this guy's hands in space, and I'm sure Alex will know that for the PPR fantasy football league. But yeah, I mean, as I look at the splits here, that's his rushing was not good. I'll tell you that. 8 rushes for 16 yards, 2 yards a carry.
No blocking.
And then Jamal's 14 for 66. So like your guys' point, it bears out that Jamal was running better, but they don't have the snap counts yet for week 4 from what I've seen, at least the site I use. But on the year, it's like Swift 63%, and Jamal 40%.
Probably somewhere
Ish.
similar, I'd say.
And I just want that to get to 70-30. And that's not, again, nothing against Jamal Williams. I really like him as a backup back. I just think when you have a talent like Swift, you need to use that much more to hopefully go 1-5.
Another thing is Goff. So hand up, I own DeAndre Swift in fantasy, and so I want him to do well for myself. But Goff didn't even look his way on a lot of pass plays, and often Swift was just back in the backfield as an extra protector, like an extra blocker. He was not really going out for routes that often out of the backfield on third downs, which, you know, I'd like to see him just have a design play, design route. And when he had a design route, it was a good chance that he was going to catch it and it was going to be thrown his way. But we don't give him the ball nearly enough for how much lack of talent we have on offense.
It's tough because he's for the system that we're running, the scheme is the running backs are the ones to chip.
Yeah.
And Jamal Williams does a little bit better, but like we only have 2 tight ends on roster. And so he's not going to stay in there and block. The other one's fouls, and he's 45 years old.
I don't.
So like the running backs are the ones that have to chip in, and so you're wasting like routes against them.
Darren Fells being 45 like actually feels right. I know you're just exaggerating, but it feels
he didn't really touch the field at all.
No, he didn't touch the field, but I'm just saying, like, schematic-wise, if you had 3 or 4 tight ends, like, your third or fourth tight end is strictly blocking tight end.
Well, a quarter through the season, I'd love to see the Lions maybe change some things up and play to their personnel more instead of playing to their system. That's not great for their players. But whatever. I'm not a football coach. I don't know.
No, you're an analyst, though. You're a national.
Yeah, I think it's obvious. Put the ball in your best player's hands a little bit more.
You know, it makes so much sense when you say it like that.
Don't throw it to Khalif Raymond so much.
Speaking of receptions, as we try to look for bright spots throughout this year, our guy, Evans and Amon St. Brown, 6 catches for 70. You like to see that. You like to see him being targeted, you know, getting up there in yards as well. So hopefully that continues to materialize, and he was a good value in the 4th round. But then on the bad side, we talked about how the Baltimore game was the first game we saw in a young season Hockenson get schemed out by the other opposing defense. And it seems like now 4 for 42 is nothing to scoff at. But when we thought he could potentially be a top 4 tight end, stats-wise in the league, you'd like to see more out of TJ.
He should have had more. I mean, Goff missed him a couple times. He also dropped the pass,
which you can't have.
Which wasn't a great throw, but...
Did it hit the hands?
It hit the hands. It was the angle was coming towards you, so it was hard to see how bad of a throw it was, but it hit him in the hands and dropped it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things I think you need to scheme up more plays for him. I didn't think we were like, I don't think we have to get the ball to our playmakers. I think that we think the other receivers are good enough, and that is a problem because they're not.
So my kind of overarching things I'll close out with for the Lions is that this one stung, and no shocker because I said it was a must win. A little exaggeration, but honestly, like, because with being 0-3, they were all against good teams, and 2 of them were tight games, or at least I would say this. The Lions objectively put together at least one good half of football against 3 good football teams leading up to this game. So it gave fans hope that the Bears had just gotten beaten down by the Browns the week before. Their coach is kind of a clown and saying, no, we might play Fields, Foles, or Dalton. So you're like, okay, strike while the iron's hot. Go get a win at Soldier Field against a division opponent. Make yourself feel better that you're not bottom of the division. And then you go and do this. And this loss hurts more, I'd say, depressing wise than even the Baltimore one, because they're a good football team. But I don't know. It feels like a step back because everyone, it was fun around the league. You know, you're 0-3, but everyone's like, oh, they're a solid 0-3 team because they gave 2 good teams games. And then you go and do this against an opponent who's not very good. And it's just gross and makes fans not as excited for
the number 1 pick
any weeks to come. Yeah.
The tank is on. The Browns, as you talked about, the Bears getting dominated, their D-line is very legit. I mean, the Vikings scored 7 points today.
Wow.
So, and Kirk was in trouble all game long. So when we play the Browns, Jared Goff is in big trouble. But that's besides the point. Yeah, it's disappointing losing to the Bears when you had 3 trips to the red zone with 0 points. You had a decent chance to win this game. They didn't look better than us. we just shot ourselves in the foot. And I guess that comes with a young, new, inexperienced coaching staff. But no excuses, really. You can't go to the red zone 3 times and come up with 0 points.
No.
Can't do it. Turning the ball over way too much. Defense, for as bad as they are, they've done their job, I guess, enough to keep you in games. And the offense is not getting it done.
Evan, any closing thoughts on the lines before around?
Closing thoughts. Secondary is baby soft, and they're afraid to hit anybody. But there's our injuries in the secondary. And just like all the fans that are on Twitter think this is, the same old Lions. Like, this is 4 games into the Dan Campbell era. You got to give it time and patience. Because I can promise you, he's not like the last coach. And all you guys that think that you already want Dan Campbell gone, you're not aware of the situation that he's in, and that we are rebuilding. And like we said way back in April, this can take like 2 or 3 years.
It's going to take time.
Yeah.
There's no talent on this.
Good thing we're young. Good thing this is a young podcast.
Yeah, it's bad.
All right, folks, around the league in however many minutes or less. Haven't seen any of these scores. We'll see how this goes. Giants 27, Saints 21, and OT. Daniel Jones.
Welcome back, Saquon Barkley. He had a really good game. Yeah. 2 touchdowns.
Played him in fantasy.
And I just don't know what Sean Payton's doing. He needs to open up the offense for Jameis Winston. This plain and simple.
There's a lock on the playbook, and Jameis doesn't have the key. So
let Jameis go 3 for 3.
I think Sean Payton's super worried about the 6 interception possibility.
He definitely is, because I don't understand why Jameis you just insert Jameis into what Drew Brees did. Like, Jameis can throw the ball 15 yards down the field. Yeah. Like, that was the max of Drew Brees, and like Alvin Kamara produced. I mean, Alvin Kamara had a good game, but like pass catching, not really. And then they're barely throwing the ball.
Yeah, they got.
I just don't get it.
They want to be better. You can't lose to the Giants.
Chiefs 42, Eagles 30. This is one of the games I watched all the snaps of. We had one of the more funnier announcing penalties in the game of football, the illegal touching in this game with Devonta Smith stepping out of bounds. He looked amazing in this game.
He's good.
But again, the Chiefs defense is doo-doo. The Chiefs did Chiefs things. They just score ridiculous touchdowns. And that's pretty much it.
Chiefs are still good. Cody, friend of the podcast, they are still good.
The Eagles coach, Sirianni, hard to take seriously with that many highlighters in your visor.
Yeah, he's got to chill.
The Eagles, if they wanted to win this game, they had to score touchdowns. And when they're in the red zone, you can't kick field goals against the Chiefs.
Nope, can't.
And if you're in the red zone like the Lions, you can't score 0 points at all.
True.
Yeah.
Bills 40, Texans 0. That just feels right.
Bills are good. Texans are bad.
Texans are in our competition for the first pick.
Yeah, but they have a win. So
for now.
It's us and the Jags right now.
Yeah, and their coach doesn't seem too worried.
2 Urban Meyer references.
Yeah, he's a scumbag. Cowboys 36, Panthers 28.
Wasn't that close.
As in Cowboys had a handle on it?
It was 36-14 with not that much time left. Carolina scored 2 late touchdowns.
Cowboys, Cowboys will make the playoffs.
Yeah. They needed to throw the ball a little better, to CeeDee Lamb. But
they ran the ball well with Zeke, and Zeke should be the number 1 guy on that offense.
Yeah,
Sam Darnold doesn't look too bad with the Panthers.
No.
I think Matt Rule's got something working there. You can't let Joe Brady go. Adam Gase is a cancer to quarterbacks.
Everyone.
We also did see Carolina's defense is not as great as everyone thought. It's not that
good. They did lose their number 1 pick.
They did lose their best corner too, J.C. Horn.
Cleveland Browns 14, Vikings 7. This is a Big Ten football game.
Browns D-line is ridiculous.
Snooze fest.
Super boring game. Browns defensive line, though, is very legit. Baker can't throw. I mean, God. They had on 3rd down to ice the game. They needed a 1st down. Odell was wide open. No one around for could have been a 70-yard touchdown. Baker just throws it by his feet. Nowhere near it. They punted, gave Kirk a chance. They couldn't move the ball. Malik McDowell played well. Shout out him.
There you go. Colts 27, Dolphins 17. This is probably a game that I would have no interest in watching.
It was 20-3 Colts for a while, and then there was one of the worst turnovers I've ever seen with Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brisket.
He ran around in the backfield evading tackles for forever. and then he gets hit, and he just like kind of like pushes the ball into the ground and fumbles. It was really gross. Could have been a throw, I guess, but yeah, Dolphins suck. Colts suck. That game sucked.
Evan, teed up for you. We can go first on this one. The Tennessee Titans, 24, the Jets, 27, final and OT. The New York teams get their wins today.
Yeah, they should never be into this situation. It was a very snooze fest until the fourth quarter when there was a 29 points scored in the fourth quarter, and there was previously like 11 prior to that. But if you're a Titans fan, you just can't let it happen. You bottled up Zach Wilson, and then also you just let him break free. We were without Julio and AJ, but it's not excuses. You have a job to do. That's an unexcusable loss.
I love the we there for the Titans. I love that. The football team, 34, Falcons, 30. I think the Falcons might also push us for the number one pick because they can't stop anything.
Riveting game. Falcons should have had it, and they blew it down the stretch. Taylor Heineke is a dude. He's crazy.
That was actually great analysis.
Taylor Heineke's actually pretty good.
Dude,
shout out Cordell Patterson for being PPR machine.
Actually, Cordero Patterson is a pretty good. He lost the dude in the corner.
Corduroy Panserson. Yeah, he's
Receiver,
a wideout.
running back, do it all.
No, he's a running back, and he's going to stay at my running back spot for as long as I live.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good player.
Taylor Heineke or Jared Goff?
Taylor Heineke. I'll take
Taylor Heineke.
Fiery attitude.
Younger, more mobile.
Any day.
Oh, my goodness.
The guy doesn't care about his body at all. I love it.
Okay, your Arizona Cardinals, 37, with the face of football, Kyler Murray against the LA Rams, 20.
Yeah, Kyler Murray just took over the MVP talk over Matthew Stafford, unfortunately. Rams, it was two early turnovers. Stafford had a bad interception, and then Sony Michel fumbled. And then you're just giving the Cardinals 3 points at that point, and now it's too hard to catch up.
Yeah, all Cardinals fans hate Cliff Kingsbury, but I mean, he's undefeated, so I don't think you can fire him this year.
AJ Green is still good at football.
Yeah, he's on my bench.
Seahawks. Wow, so the NFC West played each other today, eh? Seahawks 28, 49ers 21.
Didn't see a lick of this game. I don't know.
Feels like an NFC West game.
Seahawks were struggling until like the second half, and then the 49ers decided to struggle. Jimmy G did get injured, so Trey Lance came in at some point in the second half.
How did he look?
Jimmy G got injured.
I said, how did Trey Lance look?
He looked all right. He threw a touchdown pass to Deebo Samuel, but the entire Seahawks defense on that play decided we're not going to cover Deebo Samuel.
Smart.
And he had a 70-something yard touchdown.
Really smart.
Kind of like Jeff Okudah against Deebo Samuel. Oh, I didn't mean that.
You did.
I might cut that just personally. That was mean.
You're a Jeff Okudah fan.
Was his an Achilles injury too?
Yes.
What is with Achilles in the Lions? That's like the worst injury you can get.
It's definitely a season ruiner and career ruiner.
Sometimes career.
Yeah.
Packers 27, Steelers 17. Watched every snap of this game. A little home cooking for the Packers.
Not surprising.
The Steelers, one of the more athletic plays I've ever seen in my life. Minkah Fitzpatrick stood up and blocked a field goal and stayed on his feet blocking said field goal and caught it off the hop on said field goal and cribbed it. That would have put them up 17-14 to end the first half. But then again, you can wish that play happened. They still didn't play well enough to win, in my opinion. Aaron Rodgers looks sweet. Also, a little tease for Packers fans of A.J. Dillon. They got a little taste of A.J. Dillon tonight in Lambeau. He's an absolute animal. He went head-to-head with Casey Hayward on the Steelers and actually injured Casey Hayward. But then Casey Hayward ended up coming back.
Is he a fantasy ad?
I had to add him because a little behind the curtain is that Tyson Williams was a healthy scratch, so I had to do something here.
That's no good. That is no good.
You heard earlier that the Steelers just can't throw the ball. The Steelers are the Saints of last year. Solid playmakers.
Offense is terrible.
Solid team. They just can't throw the ball more than 15 yards.
Ben Roethlisberger is terrible.
Big Ben missed two throws to Juju that should have been 2 touchdowns.
Yes, they
were just off the fingertips. Like if you put that ball like a foot either way, like it's a catch and it's 2 touchdowns.
Yep. Yeah, that was pretty much. Lambeau looks sweet.
No, it doesn't.
It
never does.
It looks nice.
It never does.
And then the last game here is Ravens 23, Broncos 7. The Broncos are frauds.
The Broncos had 7 starters out, so let's just rely.
And Teddy Bridgewater got a concussion through the game, so
let's pump the brakes on them being frauds.
No, I'll stand by that.
Easy.
So the Broncos are the worst 3-1 team.
The Ravens
in the NFL.
were +1 on the spread in that game.
The Broncos are the worst 3-1 team in the NFL.
Well, their wins were against the Jets, Jags, and Texans.
Giants.
Yeah, worst 3-1 team. They're frauds. I'm just telling you, they're frauds.
Yeah, I mean, it was an easy pick.
All right, so that was around the NFL.
Jags and Bengals.
We don't do Thursday night. Who cares?
That was Thursday.
And we've talked about the Jags
Urban Meyer
enough.
again.
Yeah, he's a freak.
He's gonna pass out.
He's gonna fake something. College football recaps, probably from too many Viagra pills. College football recaps here. We'll start with Michigan State versus Western Kentucky. Rally the Bands, MSU homecoming. It was a high-scoring affair like we predicted. Final score, I guess, would be a little misleading if you just happened to look at it. It's still a 17-point game, but it was 42-16 at the half. I'll do the classic, like, since I'm just a Michigan fan, I'll give my brief thoughts. Western Kentucky is a really well-coached football team. Like, that stood out to me as I was there in the nosebleeds of Spartan Stadium for this one. The quarterback is pretty solid. I think
it's pretty good.
I think, obviously, now the negative of that would be the throws he was making. A lot of them were wide open, like seam shots, which I guess is something to clean up as Big Ten play continues, especially when you face Ohio State, because like Ryan Day is one of the best vertical passing game schemers in the country. So that will have to be cleaned up. I don't really know, like, you know how people, analysts like ourselves, love to say like, oh, they laid a blueprint for how to, have success against this team. I don't really would say Western Kentucky did that because no one plays like them. Like, they basically were Utah State. They just run. Their no huddle was so fast. It was like you look the other way and they're running the next play. Because like no one else in the Big Ten is going to try to do to Michigan State what.
No one has the personnel to do that.
What? Well, they have playmakers, but
they're not going to be. They're not going to
all
their O line just sprinting the whole game.
They're not going to install that type of offense for a 1 week. That's just like your calling card if you're Western Kentucky. You can't just scheme that for 1 week. But it does give hints of how to have more success against Michigan State's defense than other schools have by spreading them out or, really hammering home the passing game. And I think that is something that is going to be a big test for Michigan State in the Big Ten. But it was good to see, again, if you were a Michigan State fan, to see that the offense, we wouldn't call it a get-right game, but it's like a game where like you're expected to put up a lot of points, and they did.
Yep.
So it also helps when you have the best punt returner in the country on your team.
Jalen Waddle.
And schools must not watch special teams film and keep punting to said player.
Yeah, sweet. Well, what about your vibe and your atmosphere?
I got in basically as swag surfing was trying to happen, so I really didn't get to get the effect. I don't think it plays very well.
You think it flopped again?
I think so.
They can't get it figured out.
Something that's insane that I haven't heard you guys talk about. Maybe they've done it in years past and I didn't know about it. But the light show at Spartan Stadium is unbelievable. Going into the fourth quarter is sex.
Yeah,
the lead into the fourth quarter at Spartan Stadium with the lights. They took the page out of Alabama and Georgia's playbook. It's sex. Like if that is the night game, college game day with like Kirk and them on the call for the Michigan game, going into the fourth quarter and it's a tight game will be a movie. Like you'll have goosebumps down your whole body.
I don't think there will be another night game in East Lansing this year.
Whoa.
Wow, I think we already hit our quota too.
Well, we can get on that at a later date when we make our petition for college game day. We don't even have to petition; it's just going to happen.
That game will be at 3:30.
Other things,
feel it.
I don't know. They did the cheesy green Spartan helmets for the student section. Everyone just looks like a virgin when they wear those.
So those things suck.
The deep end sign was out. I couldn't really see it that good. Not that anyone really cares about that.
No.
I guess it was an announcement that we didn't get to cover. It's interesting.
Just whatever.
I think that's pretty all.
Ice cream sandwich.
Mel Tucker. That's the showstopper. But Mel Tucker continues to wear
sweet stuff.
Clothing items that the fan base wants so bad but can't have. So that would be. But the hood on that jacket was so big, it was absolutely insane. And then,
did you see it, Evan?
Yeah, I've seen pictures now.
It's a nice little windbreaker with the Gruff Sparty, which people love. The helmets look nice, much better than last year's version of them. I think the white, green, white is great uniform combo in general. Kenneth Walker is an athletic freak. The touchdown he had where he hurled the guy, stayed on his feet, and then leaped from the 5 was just unfair to be able to do on a football field. And then the last atmosphere is melting moments. Now, I get kind of confused at the backstory of this because there was definitely a version that you guys had talked about in the past that had like green cows on it. And
It was Melting Moments, then that green one,
which you liked.
I liked the Melting Moments the best.
No.
They switched to the green ones.
So did Evan?
I like the green ones better.
And Evan liked the green ones better.
Green ones were bigger. They were bigger.
That is true. And then now they're back to Melting Moments because I think the popular one was Melting Moments. And a lot of people were mad when they switched out of it.
So I was up again in the nosebleeds, ran down like before halftime with like 5 minutes to go because it was such a blowout. And I wanted to be able to find them, which I probably could have on one of the upper levels, but the lines were long already. And so you guys know Spartan Stadium better than most people. So I went all the way down to the bottom level, just down ramp after ramp after ramp.
That is quite the walk.
And then I got, like where the student section entrances where I came down from the top, like 4 rows off of
Were
the
you
top.
on the student section side?
Yes. On the
I envisioned
the 50,
you on the other
the
side.
50 on their side came all the way down. And then they're sold. I mean, they sell them at the big stands, but they have them like in little carts off to the side. So pro tip, if you just want to get it faster, there's the sweetest looking old man just standing there. And I'm like, you got any like left? Because I was worried about, what you talked about, Alex, where they run out. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I was like, I'll take 2. And he's like, $10. I had a 10 cash, perfect. Because I heard if you have a card, you have to go to a stand and like pay and say I'm buying 2 of them, which would have been a nightmare. Yeah. So luckily I had the exact change for the guy. Grabbed him, ran back up the ramps. And let me tell you guys, the sandwich was unbelievable.
So good.
I can't speak to the green ones, but there's something about this where like it's just the right amount of like rock solidness, but also still soft. Like it doesn't, even though it's called Melting Moments, it doesn't melt. It stays compact, and it's almost like eating frozen cookie dough because like the texture of the cookie and the chocolate chip is just so rich and so good, and it's not gooey. It doesn't make a mess. Like you don't feel gross eating it. They are 600 calories. I did take a peek at the wrapper, which is bananas. There's that much calories in it. I was just curious. I will say I made a rookie mistake, though. I did not get a bottle of water to go along with it. That would be something I would suggest grabbing because my mouth was drier than the Sahara Desert for like the next quarter of football. But yeah, Melting Moments delivered was probably the highlight of the game.
Yeah, they're good. They're real good.
So good. All right, so now you guys are actual X's and O's of what you saw against this snooze fest non-conference matchup.
Michigan State has now scored on the first play where they touched the ball in 3 of their 5 games. So that's pretty cool.
That's such like a sweaty asterisk way to describe it.
I mean, 3 out of 5 games. It's true. First time they touched the ball, crib. It's pretty awesome. I guess, Evan, I go first like every week, so maybe you should go first this time. I just wanted to get that stat out there first.
What do you want me to go over first?
You can talk offense if you want.
Okay, game flow offensively. Obviously, if you're nitpicking, you can always nitpick, and I'm that guy that always likes to nitpick. There's some drives there that you wish didn't happen, some play calling, and then when you're looking back at the highlights, I don't understand or how, probably penalties or mismanagement. But we were behind like the chains a little bit too often for my liking when you're facing a Western Kentucky defense that's not very good. But it is good to see that Jalen Nailor got involved. I was asking for that last week. He had 8 catches for 128 yards. Reed had 4 for 127. So that was good to see. Obviously, Kenneth Walker, 126 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then Payton Thorne looked pretty good. He looked solid. Not much pressure on him. And then I just love how mobile he is. I think that really showed out this game more than a lot of the other games. He ran for a touchdown, threw for a touchdown. But he kind of got out of the pocket, scrambled a little bit more. And I feel like down the red zone, the third quarter when we kicked a field goal, we had a bootleg out to the left. And he was kind of looking to pass, but I think if he decided to run first, I think he would have scored that touchdown. But offensively, we kind of got to do whatever we wanted for the most part. So not really much to gripe about. We just got to pick up the penalties and be behind the chains. Like once you get into the meat of the conference, starting October 30th, you can't have that to happen. You can't have mistakes happen. You got to score a touchdown when you're first and goal from the 5-yard line.
Yeah, only thing I'd add is clean some things up. And then in the second half, it just felt like they went into autopilot.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at we only scored 6 points in the second.
I would have liked to converted instead of field goals, like you said. Just, I don't know, a little sloppier in the second half. Kind of knew you were going to win. So that was a little disappointing. Overall, though, I do agree. Payton Thorne looked better than last week, way better, more poised. So that was good to see. A little bounce back for him. Defensively, so everyone's going to gripe about, Western Kentucky. I think they had over 500 yards of offense, which is absurd, which is a lot. But what people should know is Western Kentucky's offense is going to give every team they play probably fits. They're a good offense, like Grant said. They run, they're quick the whole time. Their average yard per play this is the lowest they've had in any games. So the whole, Michigan State is terrible on defense, whatever. They play better than the average is. So Michigan State's just going to be a bend, don't break defense all year. They're going to give up 1 million yards every single game. Maybe not against more like run-heavy teams that can't throw the ball, which we don't know who those teams are yet. Maybe Rutgers next week. But they're going to do the bend, don't break all year. They're going to rely on forcing a couple turnovers, which I think they forced one. Cal Haladay just went in and ripped it out, recovered it himself. Kind of a fluke, but whatever. It's cool.
The legend of Cal Haladay.
Yeah. Speaking of Cal Haladay, worst targeting call I think I've ever seen in my life. And the fact they confirmed it, which means he's out next week, if we get to that in the preview for the first half at least, not good. Really ridiculous call. I guess I could see that if the guy was standing, he would have hit him in the head or whatever. Terrible call. You can't call that.
I agree. Super soft. Nope. I hate that in the game. Can I just give, for our listeners that may not know, like that sweaty rules? They probably talk about it in the
I
podcast.
Understand probably.
I know what you do. I'm not talking to you.
Stupid.
I'm talking to the microphone of the people.
Yeah, you can let them know.
So because I've heard the analysis, which I didn't even really know going into this year, but in the Michigan and Michigan State games I've watched, has come up. Is that like when, like for example, Michigan State people will remember all the ones against, was it Nebraska where Thorin got hit twice and they reviewed it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they both came back as non-targeting because when you're a runner, you are not defenseless because they're a defenseless player. So you're allowed to make contact with the head area as long as it's not the crown of your helmet. Now, in the case of the Cal Haladay play, which I briefly saw, it's a receiver going across the middle. And in that case, you are a defenseless player. So even though he's basically just hit him with the forearm of his arm, since it's like to the head and neck area, then they can call it, they have the right in the rule book to call it targeting. Again, I agree. Really dumb.
You didn't even really.
That it's soft. I don't even, did the player even get injured on that play? Not that it matters, but that definitely factors in. Like people can say, oh, like.
I think he was shaken up.
Yeah. Which, I mean, yeah.
The player fell. So he was like at Halladay's like knees.
Right. And so, but then, obviously just for the people that are up in arms, the justification for it is that you're hitting the head and neck of a defenseless player in college, which is, it's a pandemic in college football. No one knows what targeting is. And that is going to be something to monitor, I guess, in next week's game in the first half.
Yeah, I think it's a big factor, but we'll get to that. And then the only other thing from the defense that I noticed, I would like to know how our corners would do in more of a man-up situation. I have no idea. We play such soft coverage the whole time. I don't know what our corners are capable of. So it kind of worries me that if we're not willing to even try it at all in games like this, then I'm a little worried that our corners are not too good. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not full scheme guy, but it's weird that we sag off as much as we do and never try to go one-on-one man up and send a big blitz. We never try. Why, Evan? Why?
When you're running there's 64 pass attempts in the game, you're going to be a little bit tired. And
that's
so
fair.
To save the corner's energy, you're going to play a little softer coverage. You're going to try to keep everything in front of you, no big plays, and you're going to challenge the offense to go the length of the field to try to score. And most of the time, Western Kentucky couldn't do it until the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I would also say forcing 2 3-and-outs to start the game and jumping on Western Kentucky early was probably a huge key. You don't want to get down at all against a team like that. So the defense, I thought, played for all the stats, and you're going to look in the box score, it's going to look bad. I thought Michigan State's defense played pretty well.
Can I tell you my only real...
The only thing about Michigan State's defense was the missed tackles.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I thought they need to clean it up a little bit. A little too shaky there, break down, make a tackle in the open field, where previously we were doing that, but now you have different guys in space against Western Kentucky because of the way they play. So you have like different like nickel corners and like roll down safeties trying to make those open field tackles, and they're not doing it.
Better DB tackling.
That's my only gripe from defense.
I definitely need to see better tackling from the DBs.
Yeah, and that goes back to it's not necessarily a blueprint, but that is where if I was an opposing team, I would want to put the pressure of the tackling on the outside linebackers and secondary as opposed to that meat of the defense, because they've shown they can stuff the run better. I do think probably because of just the design, Western Kentucky was able to run the ball sometimes a little bit better than I thought, where they got some chunk plays on draws, but then again, it's you're just
you pass that much.
Yeah, I would say my takeaway from the defense of Michigan State that would worry me a little bit, especially as Big Ten play continues, because points are such a premium in this conference, is that Western Kentucky, I for sure connected on 3, if not 4, just man-on-man vertical deep shots. And I think those are plays that would, can happen in Big Ten games where they're devastating plays because, like I said, points are at a premium. And those 50-yard chunk plays where, to Western Kentucky's credit, they ran good routes and their quarterback put the ball in a bucket, but there will be more quarterbacks in the season that will put balls in buckets, and those will be game-altering plays as opposed to just, a blip in a track meet game.
Yeah, and I do honestly believe that Western Kentucky's offense would give most teams trouble. Most teams' corners in the Big Ten trouble. I don't think any Big Ten team is shutting out Western Kentucky.
No.
They're going to score points. That's just how they're designed. They don't play a defense, and they just rely on offense. And it's crazy how they are just so committed to just throwing the ball almost every play. It's wild. It's pretty exciting if you're a Western Kentucky.
Yeah, on 3rd and 1, they ran a little wide receiver screen route, but the ball was so low they just had to fall down and catch it, and they didn't get any yards. But that's their 3rd and 1 play.
Yeah, no, their QB's pretty good too.
Zappy.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good.
Zapeppy.
But it was an easy win. It was never close, really. I mean,
no,
never felt bad.
Now, a little background too, was stunning. I left the game around 42-16 and got back to be able to see it, and it was 42-31. And I was like, what the heck happened in this game? It just didn't feel like it even would have gotten to that point. But then again, it never got within that one score to make it really sweaty. So
I don't think it was 42-31. I think it was 40. It got to 45-31. Was the closest it got.
Well, now I have to double check.
I was monitoring from my phone, but I never saw it was 10 points.
Yeah, 45, correct. 45 and then 31.
Yeah, easy win. And they're ranked number 11 now in the AP poll.
Yes.
And coaches, which is wild. Good for them. It means nothing.
No, it means something.
To the game everyone wants to hear about.
Well, any more takeaways, Evan?
No.
All right.
Jaden Reed for Heisman.
Big noon kickoff.
Big noon kickoff.
What was it? So Michigan 38, Wisconsin 17. I guess it was a tale of. Well, it was again one of those games where you really can just paint whatever narrative you want out of a game like this. You can say, "Oh, it was never really close." Wisconsin's offense couldn't get anything going, and Michigan led wire to wire. Or you could say, I didn't think this about myself, but I'm leaning more into when I analyze games in the Evan camp where I like to nitpick things because I can see where the finish line might be leading to. And I'm going to try my best to just enjoy this win for Michigan because I do, not an apology, but I do want to backtrack a little bit on questioning everything with Cade. And I did give the context that you have to understand why that the coaching staff is so hesitant to give JJ McCarthy playing time because Cade has not lost as a starting quarterback of Michigan when he's not gotten hurt in a game. So it's how do you just pull that kid from a game? It takes a lot of balls.
Take a loss.
Yeah, it would take a loss. You do see worked into this game more JJ McCarthy. And I'm basically just starting there because that seems to be the big narrative of everyone wondering week into week of this team. I will say X's and O's wise, not to get too heavy before we get into more bigger picture of the game, but if you're going to bring in JJ McCarthy, you need to prove that he can throw the ball and not just bring him in for read option type plays because that's basically doing the Wildcat at that point.
And everyone's going to know what you're doing.
Right. You just have, and he can clearly throw the ball. He threw one of the prettier passes I've seen this season to Dalen Baldwin on a deep route. So why don't work that in the third quarter when you bring him in and not just wait till the end? So maybe they'll figure that out. It did seem like as dumb as that theory is, and as much as I hated Alex, like you mentioned, saving the playbook was much more open in this game.
They were doing it.
Brought out the old Michigan State flea flicker. So shout out to both of our schools for absolutely nailing that play, and shout out to Cade for capitalizing on that with a good throw. If you'd like, you guys were kind of vocal text message wise about the Wisconsin offense. So I'll tee you guys up for that and just kind of like what you guys were seeing from the Wisconsin offense.
Just full PTSD. I mean, if you just change the jerseys, I mean, that was Michigan State the last like 5 years with Dave Warren. It was terrible. I just don't know what they couldn't do a thing at all early on in this game. It was gross to watch. The score obviously turned out to not be as gross as I said last week, but the beginning of this game, mainly Wisconsin, was disgusting. They were puke gross. And Evan, I'm sure you have some similar thoughts.
I mean, it was horrendous to watch. Wisconsin's still trying to run their same offense when they have like NFL running backs, and they don't. Like when they have NFL offensive linemen, and they don't. They simply don't. Like they got 32 carries for 43 yards.
I can't believe
Granted, they're 43 rushing yards because they have sacks. So we take away those. They probably got 20, 40, 60. They probably had like 65 rushing yards.
2 yards.
Now, the sacks is going to negate them a little bit. But when Wisconsin can't run, it defeats the purpose. And I don't understand what changed from Wisconsin from last year to this year. Maybe a couple guys, but like you saw Mertz, and like Wisconsin looked decent last year at the beginning of the year. But it's putrid. Mertz is not good.
No.
And Wisconsin only had success when they kind of like actually spread the ball out a little bit there in the second quarter.
I think Mertz is like a C- version of Bo Nix. Just not good. I just don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like Evan said, like they were solid. Like the Graham Mertz I watched at Michigan last year, like it's a different human being. It's like someone just took over his body.
And I think part of it is just the O-line is not what it is used to being. They're not good. They can't stop anyone. They can't get any push, and their running backs aren't very good. And this just reminds me of, like just stubborn coaching. You're just going to stick with and try to do what's what made you win in the past, but like it's not working for this team. And Wisconsin needs to change, but I don't see him doing it. It's not like they have big playmakers either to make things happen. So
yeah, I don't think they will. I think like the first half it was extremely closer than it was. Fourth quarter, got away. I think Michigan kind of opened it up because they got to do whatever they wanted because they know Wisconsin wasn't going to be able to do anything because they had their backup in.
Wisconsin backup
to them though.
He was just as bad, really.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he was 3 for 8, 52 yards, and he had a touchdown, but he also had an interception.
Yeah, and a fumble, I think, or that was on the snap.
Yeah, but like, Grant would probably be upset because they kicked a field goal technically, but like if Wisconsin the ball doesn't touch that Wisconsin guy in their own end, that could have changed a little bit of outcome right there. I don't see it a lot. I don't think Wisconsin would have went down and scored and took the lead, but I think like time of possession, field position could have changed the outcome there. But Michigan looked like the dominating team. I don't want to take anything out of Jim Harbaugh's mouth, but like this Michigan team actually looks like they enjoy playing unlike the team last year. And I think that's solely based on like the confidence in like their capabilities. When you're like their defense, you're not relying on them to beat their guy across from every single play. Now they're running a different scheme where you have more loose playing. Like, okay, I can run a zone. I have less responsibility every single play.
I think Michigan deserves a lot of credit for what they've done through this season compared to last year. I did not expect it. They are much more of a team. I think the young coaches has brought a lot of swagger, I guess, to the team. They look like they're having fun, jump around in the third quarter. I mean, you wouldn't have saw that from any Michigan team in the last 5 years, I don't think. And I will say their defense looked good. I want to see more. I want to see it against a good offense. I still don't think they've been challenged really with Wisconsin's offense was bad.
Maybe Western Michigan was the offensive test.
Honestly, it might have been. So I think we still need to see more from that. And then offensively, my last thing is they didn't run the ball as well as normal. Wisconsin's going to stop that. Wisconsin's defense is still good. They stopped the run. So I didn't expect Michigan to be able to run the ball. And I thought they threw the ball okay. I thought Cade missed some throws early in the game that he needed to connect on. And then he made more throws later. As the game went on, he seemed to get a little better. Made that big throw on the flea flicker. I thought it was a good ball. But I also would like to see more from him. I don't know if I might be in the JJ camp. I think he would be better. But he should be there. He's a 5-star guy. He's supposed to be. But you can't change to him, like Grant said. You can't. Until you lose, you cannot change.
You could.
They won't. And also, last point I had was I think it's pretty clear that Jim Harbaugh this year, I don't think he has as much, or he cares to input as much like coaching X's and O's during games as maybe he used to. I think he's more shut his mouth and like is letting position coaches do their job.
I think he dials up some gross run plays sometimes.
I think he still tries to throw in a couple runs here and there, but other than that, I think he's more worried about,
tell you what,
game management.
At least he did. I'm going to kind of go through this game as fast as I can in like a game flow type of way about how it played out in my head at least. They went for it on 4th and 1 on their own 35 to start the game. So I guess when you talk about Jim Harbaugh's impact, I've noticed a trend that he the going for it rate is a lot higher. Like that's aggressive.
Analytics
to go for it, got it. But then the classic, the recurring theme here is a Wolverine friend of the show, Brad, texting myself. They went for it on the next 4th and 1, ran a similar A gap play and got stuffed. So not good creativity there. And then you give Wisconsin the ball and like a gross rock fight on your side of the field to start the game. Did not look good. I think as dumb as it might sound, one of the altering plays I would say from the first half was when Cade looked like he was about to take a safety and stepped up in the pocket, and I'm rewatching it here and found Blake Corum truck sticked 41 of Wisconsin, who also got hit by his own guy coming in to get a first down. Because as you guys know, you don't get out of your own end zone there, and it becomes just a field possession game where you're on the wrong end of that.
And really a scary punt that could easily get blocked.
Yeah, a scary punt that you're just kicking to Wisconsin, and then they're in good field position all game. But, as I zip through here, the play, obviously, that Evan talked about, the muffed punt, which is just one of those fluke plays that you just have to capitalize on. And I guess that'd be my nitpicking is where, and against an even better team, than Wisconsin in Big Ten season, that has to be 7 points. Similar to how they got lucky, I would say, against Rutgers at the end of the first half, where we talked about Cade missed a layup throw. That has to be 7 points. When you get handed a ball, down inside the 20 to start, it has to be 7 points. And I think that's a little concerning. Bright spots of the game, like Alex mentioned with the run thing. My only thoughts on the run thing is I'll give one kind of stat. I just saw someone throw it on Twitter. I wish I remembered their handle. They did crack over 100 team rushing yards, which is solid. It's nothing crazy. It's not like you just dominated Washington the way they did. But I think I'd seen through the first this was game 5. Through the first 4 games, Wisconsin had only given up 75 total rushing yards combined to all opponents. And you throw Penn State and Notre Dame in there, so those aren't cookie cutters. And so the fact that you kind of, passed their season total they had given up and got to 112 or so rushing yards is a really solid sign, I would say. Offensively as well, Roman Wilson, really impressive game from the sophomore out of Hawaii, who was kind of billed as a track star wideout. He made a very impressive catch on an underthrown deep ball. I'd love to give Cade credit and say he meant to underthrow that. I don't really think he did. That's like only quarterbacks that are really sweet. Like you watch Aaron Rodgers do that to Devontae Adams. I don't think him and Roman.
I don't think so.
I don't think him and Roman have that type of chemistry. But the adjustment, the physicalness of he's a shorter receiver to make that grab was huge. And then defensively, I don't really know. I guess the praise I would heap would just be the defensive line, which was the position group that I was most concerned about going into this year outside of the cornerbacks, not the secondary as a whole, but just the defensive line. Everyone, there's so much 4-star and even 5-star talent on the defensive line, and you just hadn't seen it materialize under previous defensive coordinator's name, Don Brown. because
already forgotten.
hand in the dirt.
Dr. Blitz? You forgot Dr. Blitz's name?
The Greg Roman.
I need a Dr. Blitz graphic.
The Greg Roman of college football. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how much more athletic that our defensive linemen look. Michigan's defensive linemen look when they're standing up. 6 sacks on the Wisconsin Badgers. Again, you can make fair arguments that their offensive line is not as strong as it once was, but still 6 sacks against a big Big Ten offensive line is incredible. And they got 2, I believe, forced fumbles, at least 1 forced fumble that was right after that jump around sequence. That was awesome. Just a great hands play by Ojabo. And the secondary. Now, the bad, I guess, would be, I don't want to call it a fluke because it could definitely happen again, but the fact that Wisconsin went down the field in 16 seconds to end the half and make that 13-10. And that's when I believe I texted the group and said, you have to get 7 points off of the muff. And both of the throws were on, I would say, Michigan's second best defensive player, Daxton Hill. And he was in position both times, missed the first throw by an inch, and then just got basically mossed by a solid Wisconsin receiver in the back of the end zone. So then that's when you're like, okay, at halftime, I'm going to be honest with you guys, it was a little dark. It was like, oh my, they're just going to blow this game because of that happening. But then on the other flip side, you have to give Daxton Hill credit. Responded like a 5-star recruit should, came out, and I'm not going to praise him for hurting Graham Mertz, but he laid one of the best hits I've seen on a quarterback off a safety blitz and knocked him out of the game, which at the time was kind of funny. I was like, is that actually a bad thing that Graham Mertz is out of the game now for Michigan? Because he wasn't doing a ton. And I think that's a fair argument there. We're like,
until you saw the back.
Until you saw the backup. Also, as I watched, Cade McNamara is just super slow at running. I can see why they bring J.J. McCarthy in for plays. And then Daxton Hill also had an interception in the second half. So it was good to see him make up for the 2 kind of mosses on him. I also felt like at some point, Blake Corum could have gotten concussed in this game. I feel like he got hit right in the chest and head 1,000 times. And outside of that, really, I'm a little worried if we're in the trust tree about the whole 2 quarterback system, because I've never really seen it work out. It just feels weird and gets people out of flow that you're bringing in McCarthy to run basically read option plays from what we've seen so far. Like I said, I hope it's more passing.
If he starts coming in for passing, then you got a full on,
I don't know,
awkward, weird competition, and then guys are getting all confused. I think you want one guy or the other.
Yeah.
I don't think you want JJ coming in and throwing. Then it's like Cade's gonna be like, what the bleep?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's not much of a precedent for it that I've seen really work. So that's alarming. Like I said, to your point, Alex, Cade, I remember feeling just watching the early game that he wasn't the guy. It was carrying over from the Rutgers game. But then he did surprise me and step up a lot in the pocket and extend some plays, which was good to see. And like you said, the flea flicker ball, as dumb as it sounds, Michigan quarterbacks connecting on deep balls, it still does make me tingle because I'm just like, oh, you don't see that often. So that was good. All positives. And then pretty much the only other thing, Josh Ross's impact. He must have taken a page out of the Michigan State linebacking core. He went with the neck roll. I think probably just to support the shoulder was more the reasoning, but it's clear that the defense is more organized.
It looks ridiculous.
And run stuffing when he's involved. And then the very last thing, like you guys, like Alex briefly mentioned, is as dumb as it is, I do think an overblown culture changes can be, is that the jump around thing was sweet. I mean, it's no matter how the season goes, like if they end up losing, games they shouldn't lose, I am going to be disappointed. I'm going to be sad. But that was just a good reminder on college football Saturdays. As much as you want to nitpick your team when they show some flaws, just enjoy the moment, because that was just something that you'll look back on in years and be like, remember when they went into Wisconsin after getting embarrassed by them the last 2 years and curb stomped them at noon in Madison and basically stole their tradition right underneath them.
Yeah. I have a brief final thought. I think you have a lot to learn about Michigan State still, and then also Michigan's pants. While I'm sure it was cool for Michigan fans to get different pants, because I don't think they've ever worn that combination. For some reason, to me, I'm colorblind, so I don't know if maybe that's why. It just didn't look that great for me. It didn't look like it flowed well. I didn't like the blue pants. There. I said it. Against popular opinion.
I would say they're least on the rankings of, like I said, I was amazed at the best road pants in white than blue. But I like it, trying it,
Something new.
They definitely don't take a page out of the state playbook where they hype up the uniform reveal. They just sent out a tweet like 2 hours before kick. It was like, guess what pants we're wearing today? It just said blue. It's like, okay, sweet. But your point about, you're saying like our quarterly report where you're like, we still need to learn more.
We have a lot. Like, I don't think either team.
But like, when does it stop? When do we just say,
I don't know.
I wanted to declare for this game that Michigan's back and they're going to contend this year for the Big Ten East, but then I just feel like I'm setting myself up for failure because I don't know.
I just still don't think I know enough about either of these teams, and I don't think we're going to learn it next week either. I don't know if we're going to learn it until they play Ohio State and Penn State. I think that's what it's going to take.
I won't be surprised, though. I'll say this, and it may not be much if you think the Big Ten West is so bad. I wouldn't be well, no, they have to play Iowa, but I wouldn't be surprised if like Wisconsin only has one more loss on the year. Like, I don't think they're that bad of a team. Obviously, they have to figure out some offensive things, but they just like think about their schedule. Penn State, Notre Dame, and Michigan, 3 out of your 4. That's brutal. Like, any fan base would be complaining about that schedule to start the season. So I do think we'll look back and it won't be like a 5-6 loss Wisconsin team. It'll probably cap out at around 4, I'm guessing, because I don't think they'll beat Iowa, but they should be able to beat everyone else in the West.
I could see them 7-5.
Wow.
Maybe 6-6. I'm not high.
I think it's 6-6.
Wow.
I don't think they're the second best team in the Big Ten West.
Who would be?
I think my answer would surprise you.
You're going to say Nebraska because you want to feel better about the Spartans. And I respect that.
It's not why. I just really think because, people would say, oh, Purdue was really good. Minnesota beat them after losing to Bowling Green. You can do a transit property all you want. I just think Nebraska, talent-wise, might be the second best team in the West. I don't think Iowa's going to have any trouble winning the West, though, if that matters.
All right.
I think Nebraska's way better than everyone thinks.
Iowa proved a lot against Maryland. That was an absolute dropping on a Friday night.
Yeah, Iowa's pretty good. And Maryland
kind of got lost in the shuffle while I was watching two strangers basically make love in Fieldhouse.
Yeah.
All right. No rumor mill segment of the week. Sorry, Alex. Just based on time brevity. Whole show is sponsored by Codes Apparel, Woodshed Merch. Secretly, I was hoping, what would be the odds if it somehow got to some of the people that had bought it this quick and I saw them wearing it at Spartan Stadium, but I don't think the first shipments have arrived to people yet. But just so you know, if you order, I'm not going to guarantee it because
it should be there by the Michigan.
Should be there by the Michigan game if you order soon, and I think you might want it for the Woodshed that day.
I hope both teams are undefeated for that game. It'd be sweet.
Yeah, no doubt, Alex.
Well, some people want their rivals to lose every game.
True.
And I'm just kind of...
There's no shame in that either. All right, football previews, folks. We'll start with Michigan State at Rutgers.
Noon, but not the big noon.
Not the big noon, the baby noon kickoff.
Noon on BTN.
Over under 49.5 points. Michigan State favored by 4.
Opened at 6.5.
At Piscataway. Any keys to the game, boys? Evan.
Keys of the game. Come out and play like you mean it. Like this game matters. Don't be lackluster at noon when you're on the road. You're going to have to get up like you got up for the Miami game. Every game matters. We're not as good as we might. We're not the 11th best team in the country. I don't think we are. It's a little too high of a ranking.
I disagree. So, I think Michigan and Michigan State are both top 10 teams in the country. From what I've seen with my eyes. On God. You guys are better than BYU.
I won't declare that.
Evan,
please continue.
I think Michigan State would each take Cincinnati to the wire.
Maybe.
And probably win.
Maybe. I don't know. I need to see more. I need to see a lot more.
Okay.
That's crazy.
And then
that is crazy.
Limit turnovers. This is technically, you could say, like a payback game, because first time lost to Rutgers last year at home. So just come out, get the ball to your athletes. They're more athletic than Rutgers and prove it on the field.
My things to watch, I guess. Cal Haladay not playing the first half. Chase Klein entered the transfer portal. It's already going to show itself in this game. So,
well, who was right?
I'm not saying you were wrong. I just don't know what you wanted them to do. How you wanted them to
can we pay them back? This is when you insert the clip of Alex saying, "Good, we don't need them."
Well, we don't need guys that don't want to beat.
But also in that, he even said, sorry, Chase, but Chase Klein's not even a factor transferring. He was more talking about Gervin. Now, egg on your face,
Chase Klein played 6 snaps against Nebraska. I'm not, super worried. You have Noah Harvey, who has a lot of starting experience.
Wait, do you guys hear that? By God, that's Ben Van Summer's music.
I was going to say,
Van Summer's coming in. I wouldn't be shocked if Van Summer's starting.
I
would not be shocked,
don't
and I
know.
think
Van
it's going to be
Summer's
him.
more of a crouch backup. He's more the other linebacker guy. I think it's going to be Harvey or, I'm going to go with Harvey. Ma Oteote's going to play.
We might see Ma. Could see Ma.
He's going to play a little bit. Get through the first half. Start fast again. You need to start fast against Rutgers, in the rowdy Piscataway crowd. Rutgers probably going to come out better than they did this week after getting absolutely mollywopped by the Buckeyes. That game was never even
breaking news. Ohio State's still good.
Yeah. I don't know why anyone would have thought they weren't. But,
I'm not sold.
Okay. So start fast. You're going to see linebackers going to be a key, and then I would like the running game to get going early and often and feed Kenneth Walker. He's your best player on your team.
I guess the problem with this game is the Ohio State-Rutgers game kind of broke my brain leading into this one, where now I don't know what to think about Rutgers. But
transitive property doesn't matter.
My gut, it's not transitive property. It's just simply like the result I saw last week. My gut feeling is it's going to be similar to the Nebraska game, but I don't think it goes OT. Like, I think there's a little bit more gap in it. I get the feeling that Rutgers is going to physical up, especially after getting their doors blown off. Like, Schiano is going to be up in their face all week at practice, and they're going to be physical. And I think they're going to limit Michigan State's running game. So I think it kind of leans back to what Evan said with the athletes in space, is that you're going to have to hit a Jaden Reed post route, deep bomb touchdown, or like a play action across the middle, chunk plays to kind of move the ball up and down the field. And maybe even another special teams play in this one. Like, I think from what I understand of this Rutgers team, was just seeing, is that they can line up and dare you to run, or dare you to throw, is what I should say. Like, they have the guys, the defensive linemen, to kind of have success. And you're going to notice, Michigan State fans, when you watch this game, you're going to look at Rutgers' nose tackle and be like, what is that guy doing? They line them up on 45-degree angles to come at the center, and it's actually very confusing if your offensive line does not have good communication. So just know that. Like, why is that guy not lined up straight forward? Because Greg Schiano has a massive brain when it comes to defense. And the biggest thing of this whole game is that the loser has to get rid of the keep chopping phrase. So,
according to you. But whatever. Predictions, Grant.
Ooh. Okay, so I'm going to lean on Vegas for this one.
Open at 6.5.
State
falling to 4.
-4 because the Rutgers faithful is rich in dropping bags on the spread. 49.5, which is basically a Big Ten football buffet at noon. It's going to be a slow start. It's probably going to be 13-10 at the half, and it's probably going to wind up 24-18 Michigan State.
Tight.
And it is a must-win game because of what happened last year. You can't lose 2 years in a row to Rutgers. You actually get relegated from the Big Ten if this happens.
Evan?
First, it's a must-win, and it's as close as possible to the extreme of fire somebody, blame somebody, and fire somebody is a must-win. You don't lose to Rutgers twice in a row. But I don't see it being as close of a game. I think we're way more athletic than Rutgers. Although Ohio State did piss off Rutgers last week, but maybe Ohio State did prove something, like how to just scheme-wise or offensive-wise, how to beat Rutgers. So I have Michigan State winning 38-20.
More in the Evan boat. It's definitely must win. I'm not going to go to the fire. It's going to take a lot for me to ever go to the fire extreme. I'm
not saying fire. I just said blame somebody, fire someone.
I don't.
I decided executive decision. I'm going to change the wording to fire someone upon loss, because I think that lets you go into that category much more freely.
I'm still not going to go
find the assistant special teams coach. You find the assistant offensive line coach, and you just tell them, "Hey, buddy, you're the reason," and you just fire someone.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with a must win. I'm not going to go to the fire extent. I will say I think Michigan State is more talented. Rutgers will be decent, I think, in a couple of years, but I don't think they're there yet. I think what we have with the D'Antonio cupboard and then the Mel Tucker transfer cupboard, we still have way more talent than they do. We should not have any issues getting up for this game. Grant, I said we should have no issues being ready for this game after the embarrassing 7 turnover disgusting.
Have you ever been to Piscataway at noon?
Loss. I've been there at night. Not me, but I've watched them at night.
I think you'd have trouble getting up for the game if you were in Piscataway, New Jersey at noon.
They're going to have no issues, I think, getting up. First, probably real road game. Miami wasn't really in. I guess they played at Northwestern with all Michigan State fans, and then Miami with 60-40. So this might be the first real road game. I don't know how well Rutgers packs it in Piscataway.
The birthplace of college football.
But I think Michigan State's a lot better. 31-17.
Nice. Now, to a night game, which has no business being a night game.
Scary game.
Thanks, Nebraska.
I'm scared for you.
Is this confirmed a blackout yet? Because they did this against Ohio State as well.
I don't know. I can look.
No, I haven't seen anything.
So,
but I had no idea who's calling our game, but that game is definitely going to be Kirk and Chris Fowler.
Really?
Confirmed.
No, I think they're at noon for Oklahoma, Texas.
Oklahoma, Texas is at
Noon.
on Fox, isn't it?
It's ABC, I thought. Oh, it did. I guess it did change. No,
I think it's on
I think they
Fox.
have Oklahoma.
no, Gus Johnson calls the Red River game every year.
Yes, that game's on Fox. It has to be. Unless they literally changed this year.
Guys, I'm
and
worried
then
about it.
ESPN got the only Big 12.
And Evan's never been wrong on like this.
But is he wrong?
He's never been. It'd be a first. It'd be stunning.
It's on ABC at noon.
It is on ABC.
And I bet that's
Oh, wow. Kirk and Chris are going to stay back-to-back weeks. They're going to stay for a noon game.
You know, and that's good for them because they don't need to be traveling that much, especially with COVID.
I think Gus is going to be on the Penn State Iowa game. So that would make sense.
That would make a lot of sense.
Oh, you know what? There's probably a noon Fox playoff baseball game on Saturday. That's why this whole playoff baseball is going to mess everything up.
So
on
then
Fox.
it's going to be McDonough because they're not going to send McDonough to BYU.
Yeah, I think you'll get McDonough. You hope. I hope.
So,
Joe Tessitore.
ugh,
I'm not going to see.
I'll be on mute.
We had another wedding.
Michigan is -3.5 at Nebraska, if you haven't figured that out.
Looks like a red out.
Over under 53 points, so not really a Big Ten buffet.
They like the offenses in
A
this
little
one.
Big Ten delivery or Big Ten catering, not the buffet. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, first of all, I can't wait because Michigan State Twitter should just give themselves a hand for just the chirps back and forth, the digs, like, which is what we want out of a rivalry. Some people
It's
are like,
unbearable.
people are like, why can't you just enjoy your team's win? Because it's a rivalry and they don't like each other, so they like to chirp. But this, like, I just can't wait for the overreactions. Even if both teams win, like, comfortably, they could be like, oh, because these are both teams the other team has played. So this in one way could be the best measuring stick we have so far.
No, because this podcast does not believe in the transitive property.
I do.
No, we stated that we don't.
No, I do.
No, we don't.
Don't speak for
We
me.
don't.
No, I do.
No, we don't.
Okay, you can say 1/3 doesn't, then check with Evan to see if he does.
Evan, do you agree with the transitive property?
I 100% follow the transitive property. You have to see common opponents in the way that they match up.
Thank
you have to do it.
Like,
Well, that's a little different.
I'm not to the I don't do like the FCS team that beat this team and then that team beat
That's
that
really
team. I don't do
more what I'm
that.
saying.
No, I don't follow that. That doesn't make sense.
My thing is, like, I'm not saying just, okay, so Michigan's going to beat Nebraska by 6. We only beat them by 3. I'm not saying, oh, Michigan's better than Michigan State solely
That's more
because of
so
that
what
fact.
I was saying.
Like I'm not gonna say that Northern Illinois would keep it a field goal game with Clemson because Georgia Tech almost beat Clemson. Like I'm not gonna do that. Although maybe they could because Clemson stinks. Anyways,
Big win for Clemson.
this game, I guess I would think that what I saw with my eyes of Nebraska against Michigan State, it's really the only game I'm going to base this off of. Because I didn't see any of the Northwestern. I just saw they blow them out, but Northwestern stinks so bad, so that doesn't even surprise me. Nebraska is going to probably present a similar challenge that Wisconsin did, but I don't think their run defense is as good, but probably similar tier. So it's going to be another game where you need to expose Nebraska in their secondary, which I think can be done because I think edge-to-edge speed, Michigan will have an advantage in this game. What this game will probably ultimately come down to is the discipline of Michigan's front seven. I know for a fact that they're going to get pressure on Adrian Martinez all night.
They definitely should.
I watched Michigan State do it. I've seen Nebraska fans talk about just the amount of pressure their offensive line gives up. I'm pretty sure they have a freshman left tackle playing.
He's terrible.
Michigan is going to feast on that. Now, here's where the discipline, the big old D word, comes into play. You have to break down your hips and not get juked out of your shoes like Ben Van Sumeren when you try to tackle Adrian Martinez. So it's like rush with your hair on fire and then stop and contain him. I guess contain could be another word. And then you have to rely on, now here's the thing where it could hurt. Josh Ross is not Quavarius Crouch. Both good linebackers, different skill sets. Crouch runs really fast. Josh Ross, not so fast. So you almost need to spy and contain Adrian Martinez, in my opinion, with either your ends and rely on them, and which I like having Aiden Hutchinson on the team I root for in that situation because he probably is. He's very fast. Like Martinez will try to make a move or, run away, and he's shown that he can lay out and catch up with those quarterbacks. I wouldn't hate if Daxton Hill, or maybe we see more Mike Barrett at this game, some more speed guys that can still lay the lumber on the run support, that can spy a QB, that can go sideline to sideline with Adrian Martinez. So maybe that's a factor. I don't really anticipate Nebraska scoring many points in this football game. From everything I've seen so far, the big question again, is can Michigan's offense can keep that momentum going of finding creative ways to score and do play calling when their run game is not just, like against Washington. That's my analysis.
I'll start with Michigan's going to
win by 1,000.
Have to have a disciplined tackling effort. You got to wrap up, like you said. Adrian Martinez is shifty.
Shoot the guns, win the game.
Sideline to sideline speed for the linebackers is going to be very important. Again, like you mentioned.
Thank you. You just read off my points again because they were so good.
I think Nebraska's defense is legit. I think it's good. I'm not saying it because they played well against Michigan State.
Yes, you are.
They did it against Oklahoma too. I think they're actually have a lot of talent all over the field on both sides of the ball. It's just a matter of coaching with them. Discipline. They don't have any discipline. Their special teams is terrible. I think that's going to be a huge swing in this game again.
AJ Henning had another solid punt return against Wisconsin.
Nebraska will have to figure it out on special teams to have a chance. One thing I'll say about their offense, they had almost 700 yards of offense against Northwestern. I know it's Northwestern and Northwestern stinks, but that is a gaudy number to have that many.
Good use of the word gaudy.
427 rushing yards, 9 yards of play. So I think this game's going to be close, like Vegas said. And Nebraska tonight, this is probably going to be rowdy. It's a little bit of a trap game for Michigan coming off the big win at Wisconsin. So I'd be a little nervous if I was a Michigan fan. I think Nebraska's defense is as good as Wisconsin's.
I would say for this passing game, what's quarterback's going to make the definite throw or make more throws that matter? I think both teams are actually surprised to be able to run the ball a little bit more than you think. We're more of a zone blocking team. Michigan State is. Michigan's more of a man-on-man. I'm going to run it down your throat running team. But Nebraska, you'd be like, we can stop Nebraska's run. But Nebraska's a speed triple option 2021 speed option team. So they're going to get their yards. And then the quarterback, when you're not accounting for your quarterback to get rushing yards, and he's going to have 50 to 70 rushing yards. It always hurts the rushing stats. But I think it's going to come down to quarterback play. And then who doesn't turn the ball over. Nebraska is known to turn the ball over.
In big spots.
Baby hands Martinez.
Still, I think turn the ball over. I don't think they had a turnover against Wisconsin. So I think but I do think it's going to be closer than people think. I don't know about the 3.5 spread, but I do see just over one possession game. I don't think it's going to get as ugly as like the Wisconsin game.
Must-win meter, Grant, and prediction.
Not yet. Evan said two things that really sparked my brain there I think are good additions. Yes, Michigan did get their first turnover out of the way. The transfer star of Alan Bowen came in and threw a pass right into a linebacker's chest on the slant route. So that is done. So
I didn't see that play.
That was when the TV got turned off.
No, I'm not expecting you guys to have seen it. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of good that jinx is out of there. But I still stand by that the starters will probably never turn the ball over the whole year. Now, Evan, with the rushing, the speed option, I didn't even really think about that, but that is something that's very sweaty to game plan for the week. Hear me out. Theory that I think could actually have some merit here is that Mike McDonald's experience at the Ravens, having to go against a Lamar Jackson type quarterback every single day in practice, could be beneficial here. I know that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens don't really run like the college speed option, but they do run a lot of read option, a lot of where a guy has to be assigned to the quarterback, a guy has to be assigned to the potential pitch man or the running back. I would like to think, like as opposed to Donnie Brown, Dr. Blitz drawing up plays against the speed option, that Mike McDonald's modern style can have these guys dialed in on their assignments, because that's going to be huge. I better not see one pitch man left wide open. If you get juked out by Martinez on a fake pitch, I can live with that because the guys will be flowing that way. Do not leave the pitch man wide open. I want someone to I envision Daxton Hill blowing up the pitch man as the ball arrives, and then Vincent Gray, we'll give him a redemption, scoops and scores for a touchdown in this game. And then they showed Nebraska fans just depressed. And also, how about the Wisconsin fan, that sassy girl flipping off the crowd? That was one of the funniest clips I've seen from college football this year. I want to recreate that in Nebraska. And if they do some stupid fourth quarter song, I want to steal that as well. I'd be a fraud if I said it wasn't fire someone upon a loss, because this, like Michigan State Rutgers, is the Keep Chopping Bowl. This is the
head coaching bowl.
Overrated, famed alumni coach gets fired the next morning bowl. And that's what I've said from the season. It's been the joke of that, like the loser of this game gets fired the next morning. I don't actually think that would happen for Michigan at this point because they're 5-0. That could actually happen for Nebraska. That's not exaggeration. There's a world where, and I just want to get some good vibes. I looked up when Ohio State came to Nebraska at the night game, the blackout, 48-7 on their head. I don't think Michigan's going to do that, but I'm saying if there's a score that's a crooked number like that, Scott Frost might not have a job on Monday morning. Now, we don't talk about another man's job, but he might not have one if this happens. So we'll see. I do like that they played very well against Northwestern. I would be more scared if they came off a tough loss or something like that. My prediction will be, I want to get this right. I don't know how right I've been throughout this year, but I want to get this one right. I think Michigan is going to win this football game 38-14.
Okay. I disagree.
And that's why we have a successful podcast.
Yeah, I think you're just really probably drinking the Kool-Aid too much after the Wisconsin game.
It tastes good.
I'm sure it does.
It tastes so good.
I think you're over.
I got blue raspberry Hawaiian in my veins.
Evan?
Must win meter. I think it's a must win. You're in the thick of it. You're 5-0. You've already got 2 Big Ten wins, and now this should just be a letdown. So it's a must win. Soft must win because you still have the rest of the game in front of you. So soft must win. But I think it's going to be close. I have Michigan 30, Nebraska 24.
Solid.
I would go must win. Also, I am in the camp that this is going to be a close game. I think the atmosphere at Nebraska will be rowdy. There's desperation in that program. I'm not picking them to win, though. So I'll go 31 for Michigan and 27 for Nebraska. And then a little deeper analysis. I think Michigan is losing with a couple minutes left and score to take the lead late.
I don't know if my heart can handle that.
I think that's what you should be preparing for.
It's going to be a cakewalk. They stink. I'll stand by Nebraska stinks. I can't walk back now just because of a couple crooked numbers they put up against Northwestern.
It's not that. I mean, you just try to tell us that Michigan State's a top 10 team in the country.
They are.
Well,
but
Nebraska should beat us.
Every Nebraska, a.k.a. blind squirrel, finds a nut every now and then, puts together a good game. I don't hold.
They could have beat Oklahoma.
No, the Oklahoma stinks. Michigan State are better than Oklahoma.
If Michigan and Oklahoma played on a neutral field right now, I'm taking Oklahoma. If Michigan State played Oklahoma, I'd take Oklahoma.
And I'm taking that bet and taking your money to the bank.
Okay.
Right now, we can get like just briefly big picture. There's only 2 teams I fear in college football, and it's Alabama and Georgia. And I think everyone else is in the same pot. You look at the top 10.
That's not saying much, but yeah.
That's why it's like, what?
Everybody should stop playing college football the rest of the year because it's Georgia or Alabama's, and that's it.
Yeah. And like, as impressive as I looked at Maryland, I would take Michigan State in a tight game versus any of them. Like, no one's unbeatable. Like, the only teams I think are unbeatable for our 2 schools in this state are Alabama and Georgia, and that's it. Everyone else is fair.
Honestly, hand up, I fear Georgia more than I fear Alabama.
Their front seven's ridiculous.
Like, you look at the teams in front, we'll include BYU. whatever. Obviously, they could lose all these games. Oregon, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Cincinnati, Penn State, Iowa.
I think all toss-ups probably.
Yeah.
Well, Penn State's a fraud. They're the biggest fraud. No one likes James Franklin.
But I'm saying, like, Michigan...
I wouldn't take Michigan State in most of those games.
But I would expect it to be, like, a competitive football game.
I would hope. I'm sure we'd get blown out by one of those teams.
No, I know they'd all
and we might get blown out by one of those teams still.
Michigan State would be Oklahoma.
We are sleeping on the Buckeyes in the East.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we are.
No, Ohio State's still winning the Big Ten. That's without question.
Maybe.
All right, just one more question.
I think the quarterback stinks.
So we're 5 games in now. Michigan is ranked in the top 10. They are ranked higher than the Ohio State Buckeyes. Right now, Michigan and Ohio State play. Where's it at this year?
It's at Ohio State.
In Columbus. If they would play next week.
Wait, I actually don't know. I think it's at Ohio State.
Wherever they're playing. If they were playing next week, would you take Michigan to win the game?
Yes.
It's
in
Ann Arbor. You would take him
because they dodged him last year.
Evan, I assume.
I'm taking Ohio State.
Yeah, same. Just wanted to see where we're at 5 games in. I already can tell that Grant, when that game happens, regardless of what happens leading up to it, is going to convince himself that Michigan's going to win.
I put my flag in the ground about CJ Stroud, and I told you guys from the first show we even saw a snap they're going to be more vulnerable this year because of their freshman quarterback. And I still think he's kind of a fraud. Yeah, he had a 5-touchdown game against Rutgers. Sweet.
Yeah. Worry about Nebraska, though.
Exactly. I'm not even thinking. You asked that question.
Eyes on Nebraska.
You guys still think that Michigan State's beating Penn State if they play tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't believe in them at all. Who have they beaten?
Sean Clifford's a fraud. He has empty stats.
They beat Wisconsin, who we've seen isn't that good, and they beat Auburn at home in a whiteout.
I'm glad we're all on the same page with being ready for games tomorrow that our teams would win.
Now, if you said the same thing for Ohio State, I'm taking Ohio State.
Yeah, if you said Ohio State's traveling to Spartan Stadium tomorrow, everyone's 100% healthy, I'm taking Ohio State by at least 21.
I was going to say 17. So, yeah, I'm in that boat.
I'd say 10.
So, you take Michigan over Michigan State by 10 right now?
No. You don't do the transitive property.
7?
If Michigan State played tomorrow, Michigan would win by 3 or less.
All right. You're really high on the Spartans.
They're a good football team. Like a really well-coached, good football team. And there's not many of those in college football.
I'm not ready to say it yet.
I'll say it because if it backfires, then I was like, oh, well, I guess I was wrong. Whoop-de-doo.
I just don't think I can believe it yet.
What?
I don't know. I just don't
want to get stuck on it. But like at some point, like I was thinking after the Wisconsin
I know I
games,
have to commit at some point to this team is good, but I'm not ready to.
But then I was like thinking, I was like, when we were going through win-by-win predictions of the year and what I watched last year, it was like they're 5-0. They beat Washington and Wisconsin were 2 W teams that I thought probably would be losses potentially going into the year, and they smacked them both around. It's like, this team's good. They're here. Michigan State's the same. They went into Miami and absolutely took their stadium from them and have beat who was the second? Oh, Nebraska and Northwestern. Yeah.
If we handle Rutgers on Saturday, I will probably be full commit, and it's Rutgers.
And that's the best thing for our show because the crash landing is going to be the best. That's going to be the best episode.
I'm not looking for the crash. I'm not ready. I predicted in the beginning of the year that crash landing was one of these next 2 games. So.
I can't wait.
Just don't be Rutgers.
All right. To really close out the show.
The Lions.
Lions at Vikings. Vikings -7.
I'll take Vikings at the points.
1 p.m. Fox. Both teams coming off of disgusting losses. X's and O's wise, same thing. Scheme TJ Hawkinson open. DeAndre Swift 75% of snaps.
Dalvin Cook goes crazy on the ground for Minnesota because we can't stop the run.
I just have no interest in it. Like it's just
the Lions are dying.
I want to fake put together things for the people, but that'd be disingenuous. Like
Swift,
I don't care.
Give him the ball. Put Jared Goff 5 wide and let him work.
I wish the Lions had like a sweet young quarterback like Michigan does. So if things go wrong, we at least have something to look forward to. But we don't because we didn't draft Justin Herbert. And we didn't take a chance on Justin Fields.
Yeah, sucks. Lions suck.
Evan?
I want to win the game.
So, right, our quarterback is playing at North Carolina. He won last week. He's playing next
still
week.
on that train.
I don't know yet.
I will die on that train until it happens. Vikings -7 at Vikings. I'll take the Vikings. I think both these teams are not very good, but I think the Vikings are a little bit better.
You're going to hear the I can't even do it. The bugle horn. You're gonna hear that all night after.
I love that horn.
It's actually
Viking Stadium.
Give me that again, Evan.
Yeah. Shout out US Bank Stadium. It's a pretty cool place. I have been there.
Look nice on the outside, man.
Yeah, Evan was supposed to be in there.
You know, the crazy thing about that stadium is it kills a lot of birds because it's all glass windows outside, and they just run into that thing all day.
Outside of the stadium,
it's kind of a good metaphor for the Lions on Sunday.
Outside of that stadium, it looks like just like a giant ship.
It doesn't look like it should be in Minnesota. I'll tell you that.
No, honestly, while we're on this, downtown Minneapolis, it's pretty cool, pretty awesome place.
All right, little travel Minnesota plug there.
Yep. Evan and I enjoyed ourselves until we didn't.
Predictions. It's a Vikings win. It's 35-17. Purple People Eaters.
This is Kirk Cousins starting your fantasy lineup. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook. Maybe start Madison. Start Tyler Conklin. Start the whole Vikings offense. This game's not going to be close. Lions suck. Real bad. Real bad. I'll go, what'd you say?
35-17.
I'll go 38-13.
Is this the one where we win, though?
No, I think this is the one where we get really pounded and we're like, wow, we suck.
I'll
take the
go
Lions.
33-24 Vikings.
Take the Lions.
I'm not taking the Lions. I'm sorry. I'm taking Kirk Cousins, and Justin Jefferson's a better wide receiver than what we have. Dalvin Cook can be a better running back than Swift.
What?
My must-win meter is not expecting to win.
Okay, I'm low-key think they could win. I haven't used that one.
I don't remember all the things, but I'm not
expecting to lose. Low-key think they could win 50-50, must win, fire someone upon a loss.
I think I'm in the low-key category.
This could be, though, not that I think they should win. This could be a fire someone upon a loss. Like, you know how we fired our special teams coach last year at some point? This could be like just get
the worst firing of all time in Lions organization
actual
history.
Only good coach we had, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he was a nice guy, though.
Whatever.
I don't care if he was a nice guy. We're not here to make friends. We're here to win football.
So you're the red.
He was trying to get us to win the football game.
I kind of feel the low key. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like this would be a game.
We seem to beat Minnesota all the time. We play them twice a year though. No, I'll go expecting to lose.
Kirk Cousins is going to carve up our secondary. He's elite.
Highest passer rating in the NFL.
Loss.
Till today.
Kirk Cousins is elite, Grant.
He's pretty good.
I would never use that word.
Would you take Kirk Cousins or Jared Goff right now?
Don't.
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, God.
Exactly.
But like, you would not take Jared Goff.
That's a bet. That doesn't help your argument.
Jameis Winston or Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins.
Joe Burrow or Kirk Cousins?
Ooh.
Joe Burrow.
Probably Joe Burrow.
Ryan Tannehill or Kirk Cousins?
Both have won playoff games.
I'll take Cousins.
I think those are actually the best comp. Those guys are about the same.
No, I have the really good last one.
But none of these guys are elite, so that's all I'm saying.
I have a good last one. Okay. Derek Carr. Kirk Cousins.
Derek Carr. Send in the car.
I still lead Kirk Cousins.
I think you put Derek Carr.
Pretty
you put Derek Carr on the Vikings, he probably would have found some more success.
He'd probably throw a lot more picks too.
So you can still win football games with picks. I watched Patrick Mahomes do it today.
Mac Jones or Kirk Cousins? I think they're very
Kirk
good.
Cousins.
I'll take Kirk Cousins.
Although,
I would bank on
the Buccaneers right
now. I would bank on Mac Jones' career probably ending up.
The Buccaneers are not doing what I need them to do.
Okay. I don't think Kirk Cousins, he's definitely not a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, and I would have to really sit down and do a list to see if he cracks top 15. And if he did, he'd be like 15th.
They have a big play for Antonio Brown.
I'm the only one that gives Kirk Cousins credit for his road win at New Orleans.
That was sweet.
Because I'd watch every snap, don't forget it, but also that Drew Brees couldn't throw a ball 5 yards downfield. I do have one interesting question, I guess, for actual diehard Lions fans that still want to think thoughts on the team. What week does it get to where we question 0-17?
8.
Double digits.
I'll go week 8.
The bye week's at 9. The bye week feels right.
Yeah, the week.
Oh, it's double digits.
If we're
supposed to get to double digits, then you question it.
If we're defeated going into the bye week and I haven't seen any reason to believe, then I'm gonna.
I don't want to scare you guys, but I'm just saying here, I had penciled in. I think I had us having 3 wins. I penciled in the Bengals being one. I no longer think that is a shoo-in. That's probably your best chance.
We're gonna win a game.
So it's at Vikings. Let's just hypothetically to get to the bye, week 9, because that's when panic happens. At Vikings versus Bengals.
That's going to be my 50-50 category meter, but I'm going to go L.
At Rams.
Ginormous loss.
They're going to put up a 50 burger, and Stafford's going to be running all
and
up and down the field.
Now, this is a roller coaster team, but from what I saw this week, home versus the Eagles.
Loss. They're way.
We could beat them. We could.
Loss.
Could. And then you're sitting 0-8 at the bye week, and you're like, oh my God, are we going to be the first 0-7?
Then you're going to lose to the Packers again. I think they're going to beat the Bears at home.
Then you get at Steelers, at Browns, 2 L's.
Steelers.
You could beat the Steelers. Steelers are not very good.
Not at the Steelers.
These are still
Mike Tomlin was fired before that game.
Evan, you know what? Those, no, he's not. Those Juju.
Yes.
Mike Tomlin would not get fired by that point. The guy's never gone under 500.
Based
they're
on
1-3 right now, and they're not looking
resident Steelers experts, they thought he was getting fired.
Here we go. If they fire Mike Tomlin, I would fire Dan Campbell that day and hire Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin's not that good of a coach.
Yes, he is.
He
has no decorum in his locker room. That's why 2 of the best players offensively have left that locker room.
He's proven to win, though.
They're good. He's good. He's a fantastic.
It's the organization.
I think he's a top 5 coach in the NFL. Top 7.
Oh, wow. We are off topic. But I don't think I'm giving him top 5.
Why not?
Because I'm going Andy Reid's in my top 5.
Sure.
Probably put
Bill Belichick.
Bill. Yeah, I thought that was obvious.
Sean Payton.
I put Sean Payton. I probably put John Harbaugh.
Sean McVay.
Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I would take Mike Tomlin over John Harbaugh.
And, maybe Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan.
Too early.
Cliff Kingsbury's in my top 5.
No, he's not. Mike Tomlin is not top 5. Evan, can you get Luke in the room?
Would you fire?
No, we need it right now.
Would you fire Dan Campbell?
0-17?
No, fire Dan Campbell to get Mike Tomlin.
No, he's not a good coach. I would not.
Dude, you guys are. I'm gonna have to go
do it
into the lab.
Sorry, Dan.
And bring you a bunch of Mike Tomlin stats for the next podcast because this is. I have to defend my guy.
Organization. His beginning of his career, he backpacked off of what Bill Collier already built.
And you know what? He did a great job doing it. He's a Super Bowl champion. 146 and 79.
I need you to go in.
Dude, he's never gone below 500 as a head coach.
Yes, I can hear you.
Can Luke hear me?
No, he cannot.
So you're going to ask for me. Just ask Luke if...
Okay, so we're debating right now.
Question number 1 is if... What was you say? Would Mike Tomlin is Mike Tomlin going to get fired this year when they suck?
Could you see Mike Tomlin getting fired halfway through the year if you guys are sucky?
No.
He said no.
I wish he would, but no, there's no accountability there.
Okay, so just for the podcast listeners, Luke is a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Now, next question, Evan, and last question. If you were the Lions, would you fire Dan Campbell to hire Mike Tomlin? If you could. If
you're a Lions fan and Mike Tomlin's a free agent, would you fire Dan Campbell to hire Mike Tomlin?
Absolutely.
And then last question.
Is Mike Tomlin top 5 coach in the NFL right now?
No.
All right, who's ahead of him?
Yeah, name the top 5.
Who's top 5? He didn't want you to name the top 5.
In no order: Andy Reid, McVay, Bruce Arians.
No, Bill Belichick.
Wait, he has to say Bill Belichick.
Belichick.
There it is.
Pete Carroll.
Okay. Ask him who's a better coach, John Harbaugh or Mike Tomlin?
Who's better coach, John Harbaugh or Mike Tomlin?
John Harbaugh.
Damn it.
Boom.
All right. Thank you, Luke. I'm going to say Grant's pro Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
Never been pro Mike Tomlin, so that's what we were debating. I was against it.
He didn't back up your no accountability point, but I would take never under 500. Feels good.
I don't know.
We did fire a coach that went 9-7, so
we didn't do that.
Also, maybe we should get into this at the end of the season. Can the Ford sell the team or what?
They're not going to. It's big money.
Dude, that was them booing Sheila like that. Sheila did nothing wrong.
Sheila had nothing to do with it. She's just now the owner.
No, and she at least got Calvin to midfield to do a ceremony. Better than anyone else can say.
Calvin hates them,
but he at least came back to Ford Field. I don't know, man.
Can I end the podcast with one spicy question?
Yeah.
And it's just a yes or no with no explanation.
Oh, I hate doing that though.
Yep.
No explanation. Right now, pending all of the investigations, would you trade 2 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson today?
No.
You said pending the investigation?
You don't know anything. It's just, would you trade 2 first-round picks right now, today, for Deshaun Watson? Yes.
No, I wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
Today, no, I wouldn't.
I would roll the dice. This team sucks. No.
And then you have to cut Goff.
No. Yeah, sure. See ya. No explanation, though.
You have a Goff jersey. You bought a Goff
I
jersey.
did it for the people.
Yeah, you're a loser.
I didn't think he'd be that bad. I'm wrong. He sucks. His hands are the size of a baby. We should make a Jared Goff baby hands graphic.
No, I will not do that to our leader. All right.
God, it'd be so funny with just his little hands.
Alex made the...
Also, our podcast is rated as explicit, but we bleep out the swear words.
Yeah, we're for the kids. At Shot of MS on every social media platform, even TikTok now, which is going to the moon.
22,000 views on the last
22,000 eyeballs saw.
and 18,000 on the one before that.
How many more power rankings posts will people get sick of it, though, is the real question.
Based on the
cares?
statistics, we went 17.2 thousand to 22,000. So I think they love them, and they're going to continue to increase
Business is
until we get to
booming.
1.1 million.
Get it on the ground floor by either advertising with us now or buying all of our merch so you can sell it for a profit later in life when it's a collectible.
Now.
When we're the next Joe Rogans, and you can just sell signed things of us. I'll sign your woodshed shirt at Michigan State weekend if you put one in my face.
You don't want that. Grant's signature is gross looking.
No, I have a Z on the end of my name. It looks sweet. Other than that, how to listen to the show, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You know the drills on those. Just share the link with a friend. Timestamps. Another long 2-hour bomb for you guys that can last you your whole week. Because, you know, if I was a listener of this podcast, I'm not going to tell people what to do. I would listen to the recaps like Monday and Tuesday and then listen to the previews like Wednesday and Thursday. That'd be ideal. You know, get yourself ready through the whole week. But as long as you listen, we don't really care how you do it. And then subscribe, like, follow, all that good stuff.
Leave a review.
Rate and review 5 stars. Please do not review if you're not leaving 5 stars. Humbly ask that.
Shout out to the one person who gave a 1-star review with no explanation.
Yeah, probably.
How are we going to get better without
Probably
well, now we're getting another 1-star review for that.
probably did that. And then submit any questions you'd like answered. Don't forget that, you know, we kind of have a flow of the show with the recaps and previews. But if you're like a Michigan State, Michigan, or Lions fan, you're just like, hey guys, like, what do you think about this specific play in this game? Or what do you think about the swag of this player? Like, you know, Alex's fanboy swaggy meter. It can be any question. It doesn't even have to be sports. It can be anything. It'd be like, what's the purpose of life? It could be any single thing that you want answered. Please ask it either like through email or through any of the social media platforms. As always, that is the end of the show. Cheers to episode 40. Wow, crazy to say out loud. Episode 40. And my fun cheers is to both the teams in the state of Michigan being top 10 college football teams in the country.
Cheers to my alma mater and my football team to being 5-0. I will not.
Cheers to spooky season. Pumpkin spice latte.
I like that, Evan. We needed that.